morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is where Wisconsin wakes up. It's Daybreak with Brian Noonan and Jamie Martinson. Here are your hosts, Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Welcome. Glad you are with us. I'm Brian Noonan. It is Daybreak. Jamie is off this week. She'll be back with us next Monday. Big show, lot to get to, lot to cover. Always more fun, though, when you are involved. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. That's how you text. That's how you call. That's how you share your opinions, because we want to hear from you. And by we, I mean myself. And then, because Jamie's out, Frank, don't worry, Frank is here, so we will have Swiper stay at 7:20. Good morning, Frank. And if you're watching on the stream, you may be looking in the Boyquarium and saying, hey, wait, that's not Parker. Parker has taken the day off today, Frank. I don't know. His work ethic is a little questionable.
Askew.
But Aaron is sitting in, and Aaron, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Boyquarium. We're glad you're with us. We appreciate you jumping in to cover for Parker today.
Yeah, somebody's got to hop in the fish tank and pick up after the slacker.
Yeah, we don't, these kids today, Frank, with their work ethics.
We should have granted him the day on, like, the condition that he calls in right at the start of the show.
Oh,
just to break up his sleep.
Yeah, but he was sick yesterday. He wasn't feeling well, and he had some event last night and with his old college pals. So I guess, I've changed. Back in the day, I would have taken a day off. If I had days off, like there's been very few jobs I've had where I actually had paid days off. Mm-hmm. So that kind of frames how I look at PTO. The fact that I'm still like, because radio, I don't know if people will know this, a lot of radio jobs you don't get PTO. And a lot of people are saying, well, in our jobs, I don't get PTO either. So I empathize. I know what you mean. So you're very careful about when you take a day off. In my younger days, if I had like 3 weeks, I would have probably burned them by February. They would have been, because I just would have been, I'm tired today. I'm not going in. I'm not.
I was going to say, on what?
I don't know, just sloth. That's
like me. Well, yeah, that's me in college with the attendance policy. How many days do I get? I'm tired.
Right.
I mean, I have plenty of PTO, and it is going to expire because I don't know. I just don't use it enough. I feel bad.
Sommers, take your days.
Take your
days.
Not now, like starting tomorrow. You can't.
Yeah,
You can't don't encourage you, Frank. He's going to look at his watch and go, you know what? Technically, the workday hasn't started for a lot of people, so I'm going to take today. And he just bails. We don't need that.
This is a PSA for Zommers and a lot of people out there. If you're lucky, if you're privileged enough to have paid time off, take your damn days.
Yeah,
even if it's just salary. Even if it's just here or there, take a Friday.
Yeah,
Zommers take Friday off.
I don't know if I can this Friday. Well, maybe
you can.
We'll see.
Okay. Oh yeah. What do you got to do?
No. What do you mean? I
can't.
Well, I know Thursday I'm filling in for Dom, so I mean I need to make sure there's nothing pressing for Friday.
Brian, these kids
taking days off too.
These kids.
All right, listen.
Yeah, Dom's moving on Thursday, so
he's got like one suitcase and a grocery bag.
What do you mean?
What's he got?
I don't know. I guess
he's a young kid.
He didn't ask for help, so there is that.
You know good. What? That's really good because there's nothing worse.
No. Well, he's still of the age, though, where you can ask people, where you ask your buddies to help you move. I think it was when I moved in my first house, which was a small house, and we didn't have a lot. We were moving from an apartment. I still did it with a truck and my buddies. After that, I was like, nope, that's why there's professionals, and we don't.
It's just so
there's certain
expensive.
things you age out of, and asking your friends to move is definitely one of them. Plus, going out in the middle of the week and getting ripped is another one.
God, I couldn't even imagine the last time I did that.
Yeah, I can't
either.
That's
one that I'm not, never been a fan of.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm supposed to meet today's a good friend of mine's birthday, and I'm supposed to meet him later. And I'm just thinking like, oh. And it's like an an afternoon thing. But I'm still just a thought of going out on a work night. considering yesterday I came up here to prep the show and I fell asleep sitting at the computer. I was
what
sitting
time?
just
5 o'clock?
I came up here at 3. I fell asleep at like 4.
Oh, really? I was
Yeah.
joking.
No.
Wait, you're serious.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% serious. I may be narcoleptic or just sleep deprived, but
Probably a little bit of both.
Right,
Do you remember when we had our like team outing at the hockey game?
I do.
And I was like, I'll have a couple of drinks with my counterpart, Nightlight's senior producer.
Right.
I was like, nothing crazy. I did not fully send it, but I was
No,
like,
you
we'll have
were-
a couple drinks.
Yeah.
It snowed a little bit. I'll wait for Uber fares to go down and get back to my hotel. But still, I think I gave myself maybe 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
Not enough.
Not enough, but also I woke up and it was a winter wonderland.
Yeah, that was a rough morning, just weather-wise, because it was early January or mid-January when we did that.
And it wasn't supposed to snow.
No.
And
But
I
it
just
did.
remember driving my car and I'm like, I am probably going to be late on my only time I have to come into this studio. And I still left like an hour to get from this hotel that was 20 minutes away. And
Yeah,
I think I walked in 2 minutes before air.
No, you gotta get you get to a certain age, you gotta get some sleep. But I want to go back and I just want to ask, if you have time off, do you use it? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, because we get a few that roll over. So I want to make sure I have that to roll over. And I don't know why I'm going to roll them over, just because in my mind, I'm like, it's better to bank them. And what if something happens, Frank? What if I have some tragedy befall me and I need to take a few extra days?
Well, yeah.
and
I mean,
burned them
leave
off doing stupid stuff.
No, you leave yourself a couple. Zommers, how many do you have? If you don't mind us asking.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Civic Media, when I started, the company had just started, and there were a couple things that were overlooked. The PTO policy was one of them, so it had infinite rollover, and I've taken almost none during my time here. So I have a stupid amount.
What's the number?
It's in hours and not days, so I don't
Are
exactly
we in like
remember.
months?
It's like
Would you have months off if you decided to
Probably
just
like
cash
a
them
month.
in?
Probably a month.
or at least close to it.
Wow, nice.
So it's
Now-
going to be hard to even take that all off.
No, it's
No, you have to go to HR now.
Take
See,
all
now
of
you just gotta
December.
play the game. You got to ask if these can be sold to other employees.
Now,
yeah, or a
if I
buyback
ask-
program.
If I
There you
ask
go.
about a way to take them off, I'm sure that that's something we can do. But if I ask about a way to sell them to other employees, I think my name gets put on a list somewhere.
I'm sure it does, but it never hurts to ask.
You could
Always
just-
ask.
You could just donate them to your favorite coworkers.
That's true. I can
Here's
make
a
Parker
week.
and Dom fight over it and see which one of them wants to eat. Well, but then I have to sub in for them, so that's
Yeah,
actually
right.
not very helpful.
Yeah, don't sell it to them. Alicia
Somebody
says I definitely use my time. I do roll over the 60 hours I'm allowed to roll.
There you go. See, it's a different mindset. We've talked about this before, so it's one of those things. Back to this. How long is the right amount, guys? Because you have friends, I'm imagining, and I've got to. I don't have to. I don't feel obligated. It's not obligation. I want to go have a drink with him on his birthday, but it's like, how long do I have to stay so I don't look like a jerk?
2 drinks.
2 drinks,
Two
then I'm
drinks.
home. All right.
I think it's 2 drinks and you're home.
Yeah.
I think
Now-
2 is the number.
What was that?
I think 2 is the number, unless
Two's
they're
a-
taking shots.
Oh no, we're not. Listen,
We're not getting too crazy.
no,
Are we
we're
doing 2 beers or 2?
well. We were
cocktails?
gonna go to a bourbon place, but that's closed
Okay.
on Tuesday. So now it's a bar that has a happy hour from 3 to 6. So I probably usually when I go there, it's a couple pints.
Is it just the 2 of you?
I don't know how many people, if other people are meeting him. I hope there's other people because then I can duck out.
2 pints, Irish goodbye. That's my.
Even if it's just he and I. I just disappear? That doesn't seem
And
possible.
there's a couple
I just-
more. I think
okay.
if there's like 5 or 6 people, you can Irish goodbye it.
Oh, yeah.
It would be funny if it's just you two and you're like, I got to go to the bathroom and just never come back.
Just
Just dip. Leave him with the bill, everything. No, I think I do. I
Excuse
think
me.
2 beers,
All right.
and then you do Debbie's not home. I got to get back to the dogs.
Get back to the dogs. I got to get home for, because I'm old and I'm tired and I've got a show to put
You
together.
got homework.
I got homework.
You got to
I
feed the hog.
Oh, man. Always got to do that.
Got to see a man about a horse.
Do
all the
Zommers a little
things.
more? Do you think Zommers is a little more keyed into your references than Parker is? Zommers, Parker, just so you know, Parker doesn't know any of our references because we're old men.
I think anybody in the world is more keyed into our references than Parker. I don't think Parker's watched anything.
He says he
It
has
does
a
not
list.
seem that way.
What does he do?
Parker just nods his head and we go, have you seen that? No. Do you know what that is? No.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
I don't know. He
He's
watches a lot
young.
more sports than I do, though. So I don't
That's
really
true.
get
He
a lot
does.
of that.
He does have. Yeah, he does have all the sports references.
I know, we just don't have a lot of D3 football references on this show for him.
Well, that's
not
whose fault
not
is that?
nearly enough.
He could always jump in with that. Roger says my wife is jealous that I have more PTO than she does, but still use them. I try to bank 4 weeks. 4 weeks, but have to use floating holidays by the end of the year. Holy cow! Wow, 4 weeks to bank,
So banking a month, that's crazy.
and then he's still got other days.
I started
That's,
here.
wow, that's a lot.
with
Good for
that-
you, Roger.
I finally checked my PTO because you have to like accrue time off, right?
Yeah,
So I checked beginning of this year. Now, when I got hired here, I had a pre-planned vacation to Europe. So I was off for like 10 days. So I checked my account and I was in the negative. And I was in the negative for like a month or so. And I was like, if I need any time off,
You
I
owe
am
us time.
beyond screwed.
you owe us time, pal.
So
I
I got
remember the first job I had that I got PTO because radio in smaller markets, like when I started, you didn't get PTO, and then even at a couple places where I was like the independent contractor, independent contractors don't get PTO, and doing stand up, who's going to give me PTO? Myself. But the first day I took off, and I thought, wow, I'm getting paid for this. I'm getting paid today, and I'm not doing anything. That was the greatest feeling in the world. Now I'm miserly, and and again, I don't know what I'm going to use them for. I have no idea. But this is the problem. I think I think when you have kids, it becomes more important that you have them to use them as things come up. Because when you have kids, they're getting sick or they've got this or and you're like, oh, and then you're like, but I want to take a vacation. Sorry, man, we just don't. You don't have any more days. But now we have our days. So we're not using them. We're here today. We hope you are going to join in at 855-75-CIVIC. Why are so many Americans losing trust in major news events? We'll talk about a new poll coming out after this. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
That was a fun little blip there.
Fader.
Yep.
That I am Fader.
Somebody should come in there with a can of one of those aerosol cans of air. Just
Yeah,
clean.
we've tried that.
You have. Or a hammer. Just start banging on it.
Now that I have not tried.
Welcome to everybody watching on the stream. We'll have to introduce Zomer to the show within the show.
Yes, I'm familiar with the concept. You know, it's been called different things over my time here. Pat Kreitlow dubbed it the Secret Show.
Oh, the
That's
secret
usually
show.
what a lot of people stuck with.
Okay.
Daniel says, happy Tuesday.
Hey, Dan.
Hello, everyone. Is that a Lakers logo?
I think so.
2020.
Daniel, what are we doing?
sports highlights. You can see it's in his
Yeah, it's right in
his
his thing.
username.
Why the Lakers? Like LeBron era Lakers. What is that? The bubble?
It looks like 2020 there.
Yeah. Chad says hi. Good morning,
Hello, Chad.
And Chad, I did get your email. We'll be in touch.
All right. Wow. A lot going on with our stream listeners.
I know.
That's great.
We got to keep them happy. We got to talk to them.
Tanya gets 4 weeks a year. Gets put excavation, a sabbatical. Oh, wow. A sabbatical. That's what I need.
One of my
Frank.
friends used to work at Epic here in the Madison area, and they give you a lot of PTO in exchange for working you to the bone. And if you stay there for, I don't remember how many years, I think 5, you get a sabbatical that's like 2 months off paid or something crazy like that.
Really?
Nice.
All right, back
Only
in
college professors.
30 seconds.
Got sabbaticals.
Yeah, that's usually what you think of with sabbaticals.
Fairly solid and better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. That one always makes me smile. Jamie's out this week. She's doing some business for the company, but I am here with you and you are here with me. So jump in 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. I want to know your thoughts on this. Why does it seem like so many Americans are losing trust in major news events? Now, we've talked about conspiracy theories before, and I've mentioned to you that I never was a big conspiracy guy. I usually would listen and go, oh, okay, maybe one point of this conspiracy theory makes sense. But then if you follow things down the road, normally the whole conspiracy falls apart. Well, more and more people are buying into it. And I think, my opinion, part of it is we get lied to and gaslit so much by this current administration that we don't know what to believe. Well, most of us know what to believe, but it's still hard to not look at things and go, boy, this is seeming more and more fishy by the moment. The reason I ask you this is because about 1 in 4 Americans think the April shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was staged with a marked partisan divide, according to a new survey published yesterday. Now, we talked about this when it happened, and at first I was questioning some of the logic. And I went through, and like a lot of you, I watched videos, I read different accounts, I watched stills of things, and I was really starting to question. So I may have fallen into this part of the 1 in 4. But I think after a few days and looking at things again, I kind of went to the other 3, and I joined that other group. And I thought, no, this wasn't set up, but maybe some other things were. Anyway, in this new survey that was published yesterday, roughly 1 in 3 Democratic respondents said they believed the event was staged, compared with about 1 in 8 Republicans. Now, that's according to this survey by NewsGuard, which is a company that rates the reliability of online news outlets. And we know, you know, if you have been on the internet, which of course you have, there's a lot of unscrupulous sites out there, if I may try to be as diplomatic as I can while talking about, sites that are based in misinformation. So NewsGuard goes out and they rate these sites, and they're the ones who did this poll. And, where are you falling on this? Do you find yourself trusting news events much less? And when did it start for you? Did it start in January? Did it start in 2020? Did it start before? Have you always been skeptical of what you've heard on the news? So anyway, respondents for the survey were between 18 and 29. They were also more likely than older people to think the incident was staged, according to this report. So I don't know, maybe older people just like, we don't care anymore. Whatever.
Well, it also to me at least, that makes sense because they might have grown up with a Walter Cronkite or equivalent where you got somebody in your room who you know there's a lot of work behind to make them trustworthy. And now I've never really felt like I had that.
Well, you haven't. You know, the voice for America, whether it's going all the way back to like Edward R. Murrow or Walter Cronkite, like you mentioned, you look at the old anchors like Dan Rather. And then when we heard, like, I think Ted Koppel may have been the last of that breed, because then you remember all the scandals with Brian Williams and making things up about, you know, or not, wasn't it Brian Williams? It was Tom Brokaw. No, I don't know. One of those NBC guys who had made up some stories about being in a helicopter and all that, and things started to erode. And then during Watergate, people started thinking, it was Brian Williams. Thank you, Frank. Sometimes I doubt my own recall, which is probably just. Zommers, you don't know me that well. Sometimes I imagined whole swaths of the world, and I don't know what they are. John says, he chimes in at 855-75-CIVIC. You can too. Why are so many Americans losing trust in major news events? John's listening on WISS, and he's in Oshkosh, because we have a president who claims everything is fake news while simultaneously doing everything he claims others are doing to him, the projector in chief. He does seem to project, and he is. I don't remember the term fake news before Donald Trump. It may, if it was out there, I mean, there were people who were skeptical of the news, but every story was not labeled fake news. Anything you didn't agree with was not labeled fake news. It was just something you could say, well, that's BS, but you knew it. You knew it was, there was a semblance or a seed of truth in it. So last week, a federal grand jury indicted the alleged gunman, charging Cole Thomas Allen with 4 felonies, including the attempted assassination of President Trump. Soon after the incident that led to his arrest, conspiracy theories began to spread online that falsely claimed the Trump administration staged the incident. The NewsGuard survey found that 24% of U.S. adults believe the incident at the Washington Hilton was fake, compared with 45% who believed it was legitimate. That's still not even half the respondents who think it was real. So that's kind of strange. An additional 32% said they were unsure. Yes, because we live in times where we're always being gaslit, so you never know what to believe. The survey of 1,000 American adults was conducted by YouGov. It's very striking, said an editor at NewsGuard. The results underscore broader skepticism that Americans feel toward the government and the press. Increasingly, people on all sides of the political spectrum are distrustful of both this administration and also the media, but willing to trust unverified information they see online. Do you fall into that camp? I try very hard. Now, I've made no secret of the fact that I don't trust most of what's coming out of this administration, only because of track record. If you're lied to enough times and you don't then start to believe that everything coming out of someone's mouth is a lie, then you're gullible. And I don't care if that's in a personal relationship. I don't care if it's the government talking to you. I don't care who it is. If you don't learn your lesson, then you're going to just repeat it. All right. Well, we've got other things to repeat, mostly that, somebody's going on TV in the administration. We'll get to that. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network. All right. Now we will talk about Sean Duffy.
American reality TV star Sean Duffy.
Yes. So we're still trying to change people's habits. I guess they weren't too used to calling in or testing in and stuff before. So,
yeah, some of our morning programs didn't push that very hard. And yeah, I guess people have different habits for different shows and everything. So
yeah. So we're getting
we
there.
Want to hear from you.
The people on the stream are really good about sending messages, and some of the usual folks who text in. That's great, And we do get, it depends. It's like everywhere. You think, oh, this topic's going to get a lot of no. And then we make some off-head comment. And then the text screen lights up with people.
In my extensive radio experience, which is to say about 3 years.
All right.
So not actually extensive.
You're an
at all.
expert. We got you. Nice flex.
The things that really get people going, it's always food. It's food and weird animals.
Yeah, the weird animal stuff. Those kind of stories do get a lot of people.
You got an escaped monkey? Oh, people are going to have thoughts. Or you have a cat who did something strange.
People chimed in one day when Jamie was gone last time, and Frank had asked about bachelor party locations at 6 o'clock. And man, oh man, we got so much good advice from folks.
Now, was it actually good advice or?
Yeah, no, it was good because it was like places he wanted. He gave some parameters, and he wanted locations in Wisconsin. So yeah, we did get good advice.
I know the best. So I've only really been to a couple of bachelor parties. The best one was definitely we rented a cabin in Ontonagon and
Where's
just
Ontonagon?
went out. It's in the UP of Michigan. So we drove on up there, out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not saying Ontonagon's the middle of nowhere. This cabin was in the middle of nowhere.
Well, that's no shade on Ontonagon to say it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
It kind of is. But
nothing wrong with that.
It was great. Just spent a bunch of time outside, have a couple of beverages, play card games, safely throw axes at targets that we built.
That's what you need, Frank. You need to go somewhere with your buddies and just throw axes at each other.
Oh, at wooden targets. Throw axes with each other,
Listen, don't be a wet blanket, Sommers. I want Frank to live dangerously. I want him hurling an axe at somebody.
Frank, that's up to you. You can do that.
He was looking for a place that they could golf, a place that was big enough for, I think, 10 guys with access to a couple of bars and restaurants. So
yeah,
people had stuff all over the state, which was really nice.
They had really good stuff.
Yeah, they did.
I also don't know the people. Like, it's for my cousin and his friends are going, so I don't know these people. So who knows what's a good idea?
And you don't want to be stuck in the
great
woods.
Idea. Yeah, it could be an awful idea.
Yeah, what if they all lack any sort of upper body strength?
Or what if they're morons? What if they're dumber than my friends? That's real thing.
That's true. And then you get a couple of beers in them, and they all think they're
right.
They all think they're at the Highlander games.
Yeah, Rambo out there. Are we running through the woods with axes?
Have you ever done that?
20 seconds.
Not
Ran through the woods with an axe?
No, but axe throwing, it's great.
Yes.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I don't know if drinking should be involved, but it's fun.
If you're safe and you limit it. All right, here we go.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Here we go. Good morning. I am Brian Noonan. Jamie's out this week, but she'll be back next week. Have no fear. That way you can jump in and talk to me now. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Do some of the things that members of this administration do actually help the president and the administration's image, or are they a distraction from the biggest issue? The reason I ask is, our Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, former lumberjack, former reality TV personality. I hate to use star because, he was on Road Rules or whatever. I don't know how you become a reality star. I mean, the Kardashians I would put in that level. Maybe some of the housewives. I've never seen one of the housewives show, but I know they get bandied about a lot. And that's about it as far as reality TV stars, in my opinion. So he is coming back to reality TV. Now, he has not been fired by the administration. He has not resigned. He is still transportation secretary. And yet he has decided it would be a good idea to make a TV show with his family called The Great American Road Trip. It is a 5-part reality series, and it's going to air on YouTube in celebration of our 250th birthday. It shows Sean Duffy and his family, who is a Fox News anchor, in case you did not know. They are traveling across the country with their 9 children. 9 children. Every clip I've seen so far, it's 2 kids in a car. So I don't know if they're taking their kids shift by shift, if they had somebody airlift them across the country and say when they get to Omaha, they drop 2 off and exchange them for 2 others. Who knows? But 9 kids, 1, that's a lot of children. 2, it's a packed car. Now, I've been on road trips with my family when I was a little kid because we never flew because there were 5 of us plus my parents, and they just didn't have that money for airline tickets. So we would drive from Chicago out to the East Coast or down to Florida or whatever. And I love a good road trip now. Man, I hated those road trips then because somebody was always having to sit. This is something you guys don't have to worry about anymore, or maybe you do. The hump. Whoever was sitting in the back seat in the middle had to sit with the hump so that you didn't want the hump seat. Or when we got a station wagon, you got to sit in the way back, and then you got to look out at the other cars and maybe make some obscene gestures. So your dad was like, "Why is that guy beeping at me?" "I don't know, Dad." But those were not fun.
Yeah.
Were you a hump guy, Zommers?
For better or for worse. No, unfortunately, when we took my dad's truck, someone had to sit on the hump, and my sisters usually complained enough that it was me. My younger sisters, and I am 6'2", and I was pretty tall, pretty young.
How did you allow that to happen?
I guess I was just too nice to my sisters. I don't know. And so I sat there with my head touching the ceiling. I'm like, this is the worst. This is
horrible. That's a horrible story. It hurts my head just to hear it. But I do admire your sibling love. I don't have that. With my brothers and I would have fought to the death to not sit on the hump. Like literally there would have been blood. But anyway, so they're going on this trip. And Rachel Campos Duffy is Sean Duffy's wife's name. She is a Fox News anchor, as I mentioned. The motto of the show is, "To love America is to see America." That part of this I agree with. So Sean Duffy goes on to say it's more than a road trip. It's a civic experience. It's one of the most powerful ways to understand vast, beautiful, complicated place that we call home. Here's the problem, and I want to know if you agree with this. A lot of critics are saying that this is tone deaf. We are in a time where gas is almost $5 a gallon. We are at war. Let's not forget that. We don't know what's going to be happening with tariffs. Everything is costing us more. And a guy who is supposed to be dealing with the fact that, the airports are a mess, the roads, the infrastructure needs work, everything that goes along with being the transportation secretary was put on hold for him to do this show. I don't know why this administration is so hooked on social media and being out in front and being visible in ways that they don't need to be visible about. They don't need to be posting on Instagram and Facebook. They don't need to be hosting and participating in a reality show. They need to be focused on what's going on in this country because there is a lot going on. Rights are being stripped away from women. Rights are being stripped away from voters. Again, a war that we had no decision on, that we have no reasoning why we're really there or how we're going to get out of it. You name any of the myriad of problems that are going on in this country, and we have one of the cabinet members deciding he's going to do a little TV show. Lynn jumps in from Golden Valley. She says, bet his road trip is partially taxpayer funded. They'll probably have a 12-seat van. One of my colleagues has one plus 8 or 9 kids. Yeah, two parts to your comment, Lynn. That's probably true. The second part, they do need some sort of giant vehicle. Now, that's one of the criticisms. Who's paying for this? Well, they say, Sean Duffy said, that the show's production costs were covered by a nonprofit group, the Great American Road Trip, Inc., not the taxpayers, and that neither he nor his family received a salary or production royalties. His spokesperson said that covered costs included gas, car rentals, lodging, and activities, and that taxpayer funds were used only for official government travel. Okay, well, what, in the middle of the show, if he had to actually do his job? All right, well, that's the problem becomes, since we're talking about who paid for this, some of the sponsors of this show are companies that Sean Duffy has to help regulate. So Boeing, Toyota, Shell, Royal Caribbean, United Airlines, those are all overseen by the Department of Transportation, of which Sean Duffy is the head. So he has to regulate these. Comcast, NBC Universal also listed as one of the sponsors. Now, that does not fall, obviously, Comcast does not fall under the Transportation Department, but could be seen by some, and not in a wild stretch of the imagination, as a little bit of a conflict of interest. But when has that stopped anybody in this administration from doing something? Just because something seems untoward doesn't make it untoward. But the biggest criticism is that it is tone deaf. They're saying with gas at more than $4.50, like I said, up roughly 50% since the war started, people are just comparing it to going on a foodie tour during the Great Depression. Another commenter wrote, Americans are struggling to afford gas and groceries, but these two reality TV and Fox News stars are treated to free trips with celebrity visits and a cruise. Read the room, Mark and Marie Antoinette. Very clever. But you may be thinking, well, okay, those are just disgruntled YouTube commenters. There's always people talking smack on YouTube. You can talk smack here, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. If you want to jump in with your feelings about this, I'm sure you have some. So the former Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, you know him, he was among the first prominent voices to weigh in on this. Pete said, quote, I love a good road trip, but this is brutally out of touch. A Trump cabinet member making a documentary about himself while regular families can't afford road trips anymore because Trump and his war put gas prices through the roof. That was a statement that Pete put out on X. I tend to agree with this. It baffles me, and I know I said this before, but it's worth repeating, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. Why are they so fixated on not doing their job and doing all these ancillary projects to make themselves look cool? Remember Kristi Noem? She was always in these commercials. Kash Patel now is making bourbon and giving it to staff members. They're always on social media. They have to be the first to post, which has led to numerous issues of bad information being put out there because they have to get online. And the president conducts diplomacy online, on social media. It's ridiculous. And this is just, there's plenty of ways. How about if you want to celebrate America's 250th, how about you get some real American families and you have them go on road trips and you follow them and maybe you splice it together and somebody from the West Coast does a Midwest road trip and somebody from the Midwest goes down south and you do it that way. And it's not, hey, look at me, I'm so cool. Would people watch that? I don't know. How many people are going to watch this? Do you plan on watching Sean Duffy and his wife and their 9 kids travel around the country? Not even, because see, we all know this is a highly glossed up production that is not doesn't relate to real road trips. They're not going to be, imagine, so let's say you leave Madison and you want to head out to Washington. Not D.C., but the state. You're gonna go up. You're gonna go through the Badlands and stuff, and there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff to see. And yeah, maybe they'll stop at a few of the touristy spots, but they're not gonna. It's not a real road trip. I want to see a family having a meltdown because they've been in the car for 6 hours, and the kids all have to go to the bathroom. And Dad blew past the last gas station, even though the sign said no more gas for 50 miles. So he's white knuckling the steering wheel because the gas is on E and it's starting to go lower, and he does that. He'll tap on the glass over the gas gauge, even though that doesn't do anything. But we've all seen it. Other Democratic politicians, including Governor Pritzker from Illinois and Governor Newsom from California, have noted the air travel accidents that have occurred on Duffy's watch while he was filming. So they are echoing the criticism. We had a plane hit a guy on a runway the other day. We had a plane hit a delivery truck last week. Yeah, maybe pay attention to what's going on in the airports. But that's me. We can, what are we going to do? We got to let these folks do what they got to do. They're out there running around. So the Department of Transportation told ABC News that the Great American Road Trip, Inc. is an independent organization, and how and who they accept donations from in furtherance of their mission to celebrate America's 250th birthday is their decision. Yeah, but you're a government official. You are a cabinet member. You need to look into this. You can't just deny all knowledge and wash your hands of any accountability and say, well, listen, yes, sure, they are allowed as a nonprofit to get whoever they want to sponsor it. You, though, as the person who regulates some of these sponsors, have to recuse yourself from this and say, no, maybe you get a different cabinet member. Maybe you do something else. Well, I'm the only one who has reality TV experience. Who cares? You can't do it. But he's doing it anyway. All right. Now, since we're on TV and reality TV, and we're actually streaming, but since we're talking about TV, there is a channel that is coming out of Wisconsin that they say is educational, but feels a little bit exploitive. We'll get to that and so much more. Don't forget, you can always go to Spotify, subscribe to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie, and get all our podcasts, all the shows you may have missed, and you can download the free Civic Media app. So go and do that and take us wherever you are. We'll be back with more. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan on the Civic Media Network. Yes, Lynn texted in from Golden Valley. Oh, you like Chevy Chase on his family road trip. Yes. Vacation. That's what you got to do. I want to see real people out there discovering America. I want people who've never left the city driving out to like Moab, Utah, and seeing the landscape there and not believing that that happens on Earth. I want people from the country to drive into cities and see things that they haven't seen before. I want them to actually visit America because I do believe road trips are a great way to actually see the country. And being on the road for as long as I was, really, you get a taste of what people are like, how they're different, and you realize most places are the same. Chain restaurants and all that kind of stuff. You could go to, I don't care if you're in Chicago or Madison, you're going to find the same restaurants. You're going to find the same hotel chains. People are going to be a little different, maybe with an accent, depending on where you go. But most people are the same, but you just get to see parts of the country and nature and all kinds of things that you never see before. I love a good road trip.
Yeah, I will say I never really got traveling because, I have a fairly large family. I have 3 sisters. Nothing compared to Sean Duffy, but it was still a bit of a hassle getting everybody corralled. And it was always like, okay, we're driving a couple hours to go somewhere still in Wisconsin. And then as like either in the middle of or just after college, I flew to Colorado to visit a friend there. And when I saw mountains for the first time, I was like, Okay, I get it. This is a really good reason to travel. That is cool.
Yeah, it is. Like when I was a kid, we always went to Cape Cod. But then once my brothers and I got older and we were doing stuff like involved in sports and stuff, then we stopped traveling. But we always tried with my daughter. We would try to go places. And just in the last decade, we've been fortunate enough to go some places overseas too, and that's even cooler. You know, there's a lot to see in America. There's a lot to see in the world. So Jim in Campbellsport says he's looking for a sponsor because he's planning an extended vacation in the fall of 28 after he retires. I don't know, Jim. Maybe we could see if in what's 28 we might have a bigger budget for the show in 28. Slap a Daybreak sticker on your car.
Best I can do is $20.
Yeah, well, we got some time. Frank, put that on the docket for down the road.
All right, we got about 15 seconds.
Want to join in on the conversation? Call or text 855-75-CIVIC. Now back to Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. It is, what day is it? Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday. It's 6:52. We're glad you're with us. I'm Brian Noonan. And when I say we, I mean Frank and Aaron helping out today. Well, Frank's always here. Aaron jumped in for Parker today, so we're glad he's with us. And glad you're with us, too. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Where is the line or lines between educational, entertaining, and exploitive? And sometimes those lines are blurred. Sometimes it's a Venn diagram where things intersect in the center and something can be a little of all of them. And this story is not, I think it's two of the three. So educational, entertaining, or exploitive. You be the judge. Let me know, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. There was a Wisconsin-based YouTube channel, and it's called Code Blue Cam. It's got more than 3 million subscribers. Oh, that's our goal, to get 3 million subscribers. And it has 1.5 billion total views. You can scroll through the page. You find video after video featuring high-speed chases, arrests of erratic drunk people, guns drawn at suspects, and sometimes violent events. So it is an updated version, basically, of the old show Cops. I don't know if you remember the show Cops. When that first came out, man, you couldn't get enough of it. It was insane because we had never seen that before. We had never had access to not only... There weren't really body cams. These were full-fledged TV crews that followed police officers around, rode with them, and were on the scene when things were happening, and people gobbled it up. I remember watching it when they first started running, and I could not wait to see Cops. Well, this channel ups the game because now it's on the internet. They can get stuff from everywhere. The channel's content is drawn exclusively from police body camera video obtained via open records requests, then edited to show the most lurid, embarrassing, or sensational moments. It frequently features footage from La Crosse and other Wisconsin cities. So you want to see your neighbor getting pulled over for drunk driving and then, doing whatever it is that they're going to do? Could be right here. The edited clips are presented with dramatic music and voiceover, jokes that mock arrestees, mugshots, sirens, and more. Now, this is Code Blue Cam is one of the internet's largest and most successful body cam video channels. In the header, the site claims its focus is, quote, on education and informing the public rather than on public shaming or ridicule. And that is the crux of the quandary here today. Just what I've told you about this now. What do you believe is the educational value of this? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. I will go on record and say that I see zero educational benefit of this. Do I see entertainment benefit? Unfortunately, yes, 100%. I got to be honest. I watched a little yesterday when I saw this story. I'm hooked. I love it. I love watching people do stupid stuff. I enjoy, now granted, I know the argument. I know what you're going to say. Brian, this paints police in a really good light. Some police do horrible things. I know. Yes, I know. And I talk about those things too. When there's police misconduct, I talk about it. I don't enjoy that. That's not entertaining to me. But some of this stuff is, and they've made it entertaining. But is it educational? No. No, I don't really believe that. Those who have studied the site agree with me. They say it feels like the opposite. Some of the titles of the video on the page include, all right, tell me how educational this is. Drunk teen ruins his life in minutes over girlfriend. When you're too drunk to realize you crashed into a cop, and neighbor from hell finally gets a visit from police. What's the educational value?
I will say the first one, I can see a modicum of educational value. Like, don't get so upset over things. Don't get so worked up, and don't drink your feelings away. The rest of them, though, no education at all.
Is this the place to find that lesson, though, Aaron? That's a good lesson.
No.
I
Absolutely
agree.
not.
I agree with you. That is a fine lesson. I don't think it should be sandwiched between neighbor from hell finally gets a visit from police and when you're too drunk to realize you crashed into a cop.
Yeah, I'm with you on that
It's
one.
not like I'm looking to help myself make better decisions. Oh, here are guys making really horrible decisions. So the audience for Code Blue is huge. So is the revenue. The channel makes around $100,000 a month from videos alone. In a few years, the account's founder has turned Code Blue into a media company with an editing and writing team. They are LJ. So as of 2025, the site has even partnered with the Wisconsin Professional Police Association, the state's largest law enforcement agency. They've also donated $10,000 to help the group. Researcher Matthew Clark, who has written about Code Blue Cam, says being featured in one of those videos was rock bottom for somebody he knew. And yeah, you don't want to be on the internet at your worst moment, because some people make those kind of mistakes all the time, and their life choices are not the best. Some people have one really bad day. And if you want to be caught in perpetuity on the internet on your really bad day, I know I would not want to do that. The researcher went on to say the moments on YouTube for however many more years, potentially the rest of your life. And you don't want your kids someday Googling your name and all of a sudden coming up with the fact that, oh my gosh, that's my dad. Why isn't he wearing pants? Why is he being dragged out of a squad car?
I would say this is a great example of just because something's legal doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, or let's not couch it as anything other than it is. It's exploitive entertainment, and we all love that. That's why the daytime talk shows back in the day were so big. Everybody loves a car crash, unless they're the one in the car. On the other side of the news, oh my gosh, it's the top of the hour. That means we've got some you need to know. A lot of big stories and a lot more to come in the second hour. Don't forget to check out our new social media pages on Instagram and Facebook. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie. This is the Civic Media Network.
Yeah, it's exploitative entertainment, but just like you said, I can't help but kind of love
It's
it.
fun to watch. It also makes you feel better about yourself. Like, I'm not that guy. I would never do that. What do you got to do the rest of the day, Zommers?
Sorry, just took a bite of a granola bar.
That's all right.
which is also why I have the screen covered up. I don't want to force everybody to watch me eat.
No, that's a good idea.
What do I have? Well, as far as work goes, I kind of have a few ongoing projects that I will see what is most pressing. We have Civic Minutes. You've probably heard some now.
Yes.
Like PSAs that we run across the network. We've got a few more of those to record with Denise. So I'll probably do some of that today.
Nice.
And other general organizational things, like putting together instructions on how to do stuff that I have partly written. I am not good at finishing those. I will be honest and say that is a weakness of mine, is finishing things that I feel like are too official for me. Like, who am I to put this together? It's like, no, I'm qualified to do this. I've been doing this long enough. I know how it works. Just write it.
Just write it.
Yeah. I know you've got your friend's birthday.
Yeah, it's what else is today? My mom is moving from one assisted living center to another, so I'm dealing with a lot of that stuff today and just some other piddly stuff around the house. Haranguing Frank into, finding out what's going on with the show, just getting his feedback and things. And yeah, I don't know, not much. Oh, I got to run to the grocery store. The exciting life of a morning drive host, where it's like, oh, I could go to the grocery store at 10, beat the crowds, then come back. And my daughter's getting married in August, so
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm having a couple dress shirts made because I am officiating the wedding, and so I have to look dapper.
You using a local service or?
I'm trying this place online, Pick a Shirt, where it's the prices are pretty comparable to just going to a store. But I like French cuff shirts because I have a ton of cufflinks.
You don't just find those in stores, really.
No, and if you do, you can get either a tuxedo shirt or a white shirt. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna have.
Yeah, I am weirdly shaped compared to the average off-the-rack clothing item. So I've been thinking about getting a shirt or two made just to see how expensive it is and how much I like it. But
well, like
haven't done it yet.
This Pick a Shirt, I think the shirts were around. They started $45, and I think a couple, depending on the fabric, like $67 is the most expensive. And I'm like, for a dress shirt at a decent dress shirt,
that's cheap.
That's not bad. Yeah, and having it made because I've recently over the last year I've lost a little over 100 pounds. So like my neck and stuff is one size, but I still have some around my stomach. So that's another. So my stomach doesn't match my neck size. So this will be like, oh, this was made to fit me, which will be nice. Plus, it makes you sound very bougie. You go, oh yes, I have my dress shirts made.
Yeah, I've got my custom shirt and my cufflinks and I'm ready to go.
I used to work when I was just out of college and starting stand-up. I worked at Marshall Field's, a big department store, and I was in men's furnishings. And my manager, one year for Christmas, gave us all a certificate because Fields used to have a made-to-measure shop, and I had 2 dress shirts custom made, and it was glorious. It's like, oh, they were the best shirts I ever had because they were made for me. Plus, those were free, so that was really nice.
Even better. Yeah, there are a couple of made-to-measure places in Madison. 1 or 2 of them are chains, but there's also some local places. I'm like, that would be awesome. Maybe someday.
Yeah, a lot of them are real. That's why I was drawn to this place because I was like, oh, if I go to Macy's or something to get a dress shirt, it's going to cost me this much unless I get it on some sort of sale. And then it's, the sleeves, because I have long arms and the sleeves are never quite long enough.
Yeah, same here. So here we go.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning and welcome back. Beautiful day across Wisconsin today, whether you're listening on WMDX in Madison, WISS, Appleton, and Oshkosh. If you're in Hayward listening on the Buzz, WBZH, or the Tap in Eau Claire, 93.5, I am glad you are here. Jamie will be back with us next week. But that doesn't stop us from rolling into the top of the hour at 7:06 and saying, there must be some we need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Yes, sirree, there is always stuff you need to know. I wish I could say the word, because some days you really want to say the word. Democrats asked the Supreme Court to halt a Virginia ruling blocking the new congressional districts. Yes, Democrats yesterday filed an emergency appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court seeking to halt a Virginia ruling invalidating a ballot measure that would have given their party an additional 4 winnable U.S. House seats. The move came after the Virginia Supreme Court on Friday struck down a constitutional amendment that voters narrowly passed just last month. That's an important part to repeat, that voters supported this, and they passed it. Now, narrowly is key too, but the voters, they voted on it. The 4-3 state court decision found that the Democratic-controlled legislature improperly began the process of placing the amendment on the ballot after early voting had begun in Virginia's general election last fall. Democrats argued unsuccessfully that the U.S. Supreme Court has held that even if early voting is underway, an election does not happen until Election Day itself. Now, the appeal is the latest twist in the nation's... Zombers, stop moving all over the thing. The appeal is the latest twist in the nation's mid-decade redistricting competition. It was kicked off last year by a recent Supreme Court ruling that severely weakened the Voting Rights Act. Yes, we will be suffering the consequences of that for a while. Lawyers for Virginia Democrats said the state's Democratic Attorney General, Jay Jones, wrote, "The court overrode the will of the people who ratified the amendment by ordering the Commonwealth to conduct its election with the congressional districts that the people rejected. The irreparable harm resulting from the Supreme Court of Virginia's decision is profound and immediate." And those are, in case you're not familiar with the shadow docket, we'll hopefully be talking about that soon, but part of what gets the Supreme Court to take a case on this shadow docket, which bypasses the rest of the court system for a temporary decision, is that something causes profound, immediate, and unrelated damage, or damage that is long-lasting. So that seems to fit. That's what they're going for. The filing is a sign of Democratic desperation after the Virginia decision deprived them of 4 winnable House seats in the mid-decade redistricting. The filing is a sign that they need to get on there, and we know that the House is holding things up because of Donald Trump saying that we need to kick off this and we need to redistrict. All right, some more stuff you need to know. Supreme Court temporarily extends a woman's access to a widely used abortion pill. We talked about this last week when it was first shut down in Georgia. The Supreme Court is leaving women's access to a widely used abortion pill untouched until at least Thursday, while justices consider whether to allow restrictions on the drug mifepristone to take effect. Samuel Alito's order Monday allows women seeking abortions to continue obtaining the pill at pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person visit to a doctor. It prevents restrictions on mifepristone imposed by a federal appeals court from taking effect for the time being. Now, this is the second. If you remember, when the ruling came down from the appeals court, it stopped it. The Supreme Court issued the first extension or the first pause on that ruling. Now this is the second one. The court is dealing with its latest abortion controversy 4 years after the conservative majority overturned Roe versus Wade and allowed more than a dozen states to effectively ban abortion outright. Case before the court stems from a lawsuit in Louisiana. I said Georgia, I misspoke. Louisiana filed to roll back the FDA rules on how mifepristone can be prescribed. The state claims the policy undermines the ban there, and it questions the safety of the drug, which was first approved in 2000 and has repeatedly been deemed safe and effective by FDA Sciences. And if you don't remember, this allows women to be prescribed this drug through telehealth appointments. So you don't have to travel somewhere, you don't have to see a doctor, but you do still have to consult with a physician before you get the prescription. Lower courts concluded that Louisiana is likely to prevail, and a 3-judge panel of the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that mail access and telehealth visits should be suspended while the case plays out. So we will see what happens, but this is a good news for people who are trying to avail themselves of this particular drug, and it's again a little step back in the right direction for women and your autonomy over your health decisions and your own body. Now we will see if the decision holds or if the Supreme Court does end up jumping in and making a final verdict. This is just kicking the can down the road for another 2 days. So come Friday, we'll see what's happening. All right, there's some more stuff you need to know. This a little closer to home. A Dane County judge ruled last week that lawmakers could not block administrative rules that had been through the rulemaking process and received approval from Governor Tony Evers. Evers and the Republican-led legislature have been fighting over administrative rulemaking abilities for years. The Wisconsin Supreme Court decided in its July 2025 Evers versus Markline 2 ruling that statutes allowing a legislative committee to pause or suspend administrative rules indefinitely were unconstitutional. So following this decision, Evers started taking steps to implement 12 administrative rules he had previously approved without getting sign-off from legislative committees. Republican lawmakers responded by instructing the Legislative Reference Bureau, the LRB, not to publish any rule that hadn't gone through a review by the legislature. Evers sued last September to block the lawmakers' action. Judge Nia Trammell granted Evers' request for a declaration that the LRB publish all administrative rules that have gone through the rulemaking procedures and have been approved by the governor. Now, in the ruling, Trammell said that a rule can go into effect because there isn't a statute prohibiting promulgation of a rule, even if a standing committee has not completed a review, and if one did exist, it would be facially unconstitutional. There's a lot of legal words there. But basically, the governor wins. Evers said in a statement that the decision is a win for Wisconsin in our efforts to continue restoring the balance of power in Wisconsin. The governor has had some big wins. We're going to talk about the biggest one on the other side of this after Swipe or Stay. We'll get into that big package. But right now, again, it's funny that we cannot get the assembly and the governor on the same page for certain things, and then they come together for big things. So we'll talk about that big thing in just a few minutes. One more thing you need to know. So this is going to sound good on the surface. We'll see how it plays out. The president is saying, he said this yesterday, he is going to move to suspend the federal tax on gasoline to help Americans shoulder surging fuel prices caused by the war, which is odd because if you remember just the day before, which would have been Sunday over the weekend, he said that gas prices were going down. He actually, on camera, said that gas prices are going down. We're all making too much of this. So I don't know why we would need help then if gas prices are going down. But it's a nice way to try to curry favor with voters when your approval ratings are in the garbage. The president, however, cannot suspend the federal tax on his own. Congress would have to approve the move. We know that the president doesn't like trifling with Congress, but in this case, I have a feeling that this would be a bipartisan thing because lawmakers from both parties have pushed for gas tax suspension, saying it would provide much needed relief for families and businesses that rely on their cars and trucks to get to work and school and run everyday errands. The gas tax currently is about 18.5 cents per gallon, 24.5 cents on diesel fuel. So, all right, yesterday I paid $4.89. You do the math. It would take me down to like still about $4.60, maybe $4.70. 49 minus 20 is, that's $4.69. So about $4.70. That's still a lot. Now, symbolically, does it help us? I guess. If you're filling up your tank 20 cents a gallon less, you're saving a couple of bucks. But you're still paying way more than you did just 2 months ago. So gas, as of Monday, the national average was $4.52 a gallon, according to AAA, 50% higher than the average price just before the war started. The average price was just under $3, so 18.5 cents doesn't get us back there. It's a nice talking point, and I know in Illinois they've tried that a couple times where they got rid of the Illinois tax. And yes, you want to be able to say, oh, every penny helps. But in the long run, when everything else is so expensive, does everything help? Asked by reporters at the White House how long the tax should be suspended, the president said, until it's appropriate. It is only a small percentage of the gas price. It's still money, Trump said. Yeah, they're coming from a guy who doesn't have to pay for anything and is making billions while being president. So as gas prices spiked, the administration has released millions of barrels of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve and temporarily lifted sanctions on some Russian and Iranian oil shipments. But you know that doesn't help because we produce a lot of oil. We export a lot of oil, but we import more because that's what we use to make the gasoline. So Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri said on social media yesterday that he will introduce legislation to suspend the gas tax. Democrats have previously sponsored similar legislation. Representative Anna Paulina Luna from Florida also said in a post on X that she will introduce a bill to suspend the federal gas tax in light of Trump's recent remarks. How many bills how about everybody just do one? Let's just get behind one and get going. Now, all right. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said Monday he has not been a fan of gas tax suspension, but added, I've got some colleagues out there who think it's a good idea, so we'll hear them out. And he's from South Dakota. He said he'd prefer to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to normalize gas prices without legislation. Who wouldn't? I think we would all like to do that. All right, well, that is stuff you need to know. It's going to be rough. When we come back, so much to see and do. After we play Swipe or Stay, which, Zommers, this is exciting. You've never played Swipe or Stay. You are going to be involved in one of our signature segments, a fun game with Frank. Well, I say fun. Some days it's frustrating. Most days it's very, very fun. Some days I get a little put off. But that's just me. I'm grumpy. I'm a curmudgeon.
That'll happen when you're doing news stories anyway.
So we're all that's why we like Swipe or Stay, because it's a halfway point. It kind of cleanses the palate before we jump into Tony Evers and a bipartisan spending package that we'll get into after Swipe or Stay, which we're going to do next here on the Civic Media Network.
What do you mean you get angry?
Sometimes I get frustrated by these stories.
This is your favorite time. It's your favorite segment of the day.
I don't have to talk about the administration for 7
This is why.
So
this segment.
Normal rejoin, and then you intro the segment, and then I play Swipe or Stay intro?
No, it should be...
Or
I
come
think
back
it's
from the
just
break with
just
Swiper
come
Just
in
a Swiper
straight
stay.
in with it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm
Yep.
doing it
Yes,
right,
sir.
so I'm glad I asked.
Yesterday, I'm like, damn, nothing's happening in Wisconsin. I'm tired of coming up and talking about Trump stories.
And then, and then the Evers thing
Well,
dropped
that's just
right
one.
into
I
our
know.
lap.
It's like, okay, that's one.
No, but it's one we'll probably be talking about the entire week.
Yeah.
It like dropped. I made a joke to my wife. I said, man, there is nothing going on. And then all of a sudden the news gods dropped this from beyond high. It's like, and not everybody's on board with it. Great. Even better.
Yeah. Sorry, streamers, if you're sitting here in the show within the show. Fatigue
Sorry
is
for
sitting in. To know that I'm just usually some days we're much more chatty than others. Jamie likes to talk nonstop. I tend to like it, like a little
20
break.
seconds.
I like a little break in the talking. That's why it's a nice balance.
Let's break out of the bubble and see what's happening out there in pop culture. It's Swiper Stay on Daybreak.
Yes, sir, it is Swiper Stay. I don't know about you. Sometimes I need a break from the politics, and that's what Swiper Stay is. Our executive producer, Frank, comes in as he is now. Hello, Frank.
Hi. How
we
are
ready?
you, Brian? You just said you were a little tired, so
I'm ready for Swiper Stay.
fatigued.
I'm pumped up. I'm fatigued,
okay.
mentally fatigued.
good. I'm gonna read. So, Zommers, welcome into Swiper
Yes,
Stay.
Zommers
You
is
actually play a
excited.
very important role in this.
Do I, even without Jamie?
Even without Jamie,
You are
especially
Jamie.
especially
Jamie
without
wig.
Jamie, because it's good to know Parker didn't explain any of our bits to you.
Yeah, that's great. Parker just takes off. What's the show about? It's about 3 hours. See ya.
It's about 3 hours. Here you go. Bye. Here's my password. So here's how this works, Zommers. I'm going to read some vague pop culture headlines. Now, usually Brian and Jamie have to decide whether to stay on the story and hear more about it or swipe to the next one. However,
Right.
Jamie's not in, Parker's not in, so you along with Brian get to make that decision. And if you guys can't decide, then I will be the tiebreaker.
Okay, gotcha.
Which
Sound
always
good?
means we're going to do the story.
Which, hey, you know what? Sometimes I don't like the story,
Really?
and I'll swipe.
And you've
You never-
brought it anyway?
Look, you don't know.
All right, let's just get
You don't
to
know.
it.
Let's
Story
move
number
on.
1. Let's do it.
All right, ex-celebrity accountant indicted.
Normally, a story about an accountant would be a snooze festival, but I want to know whose money this guy stole. I'm going to stay.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one.
Hulk Hogan's ex-accountant is facing federal charges for allegedly stealing more than $890,000 from a unnamed public figure in Florida.
Wow.
So Melissa Guthrow has been charged with 6 counts of wire fraud after the feds say that she used her business, accounting resources, and management services to embezzle enormous amounts of money between 2017 and 2021. She worked for Hulk Hogan before his death. Guthrow faces up to 20 years in federal prison for each count if she is convicted.
She didn't need her vitamins to say her prayers, brother.
No, of all the people you're going to embezzle money from, Hulk Hogan's like one of the scariest dudes. Well, I guess he used to be.
He used to be. Then he was
be.
just a crazy right winger wasting away.
Brother,
Brother,
have
have
you
you tried my beer?
I was going to
No, I
say,
have
what
not.
was like the America beer?
That was, I don't know, but I know it was in a blind dollar barrel at a minor league baseball game I went to, where if you paid $1, you could reach into this garbage can and pull out a mystery beer, and Hulk Hogan's ale was in there.
How did you try it?
Awful.
Was it bad?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking.
What do you?
I never
what did you
drank
expect? It's
Look,
made from the sweat of Hulkamaniacs.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it like just bad flavor? Or are we talking like natty light, like really cheap?
It's just cheap, nasty beer.
Meh. All right, moving on to story number 2. Hold on one second because Google Docs just signed me out mid-segment.
That's not ideal.
That happened to me this morning too. Signed out. There was some sort of technical weirdness happening.
I don't mind you signing me out earlier or later.
No, right in the middle of the segment.
Middle
That's
of the
all right.
segment. We're good. It's okay.
All right, we're back. Here we go.
Best Actor nominee caught in road rage incident.
Oh,
This is going to ruin the tour.
I'm going to say I'm
world
going to
tour.
stay because I know this is also someday going to be my fate.
Yeah.
Being caught on
Summers?
camera in a road rage incident.
I wasn't sure, but now that we have the potential look into Brian's psyche, I'm in.
Video was released of Academy Award nominated actor and Marvel superhero Benedict Cumberbatch.
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange got in a heated argument with a fellow bicyclist. That's
Can
right.
it be road rage if you're on a bike?
In England, it sure can.
Okay.
So that's
okay.
right. 2 grown men on their bicycles got into a road rage argument. Allegedly, the other cyclist was angry with Cumberbatch for not following the rules of the road. Apparently, Doctor Strange ran a couple of red lights on his bicycle.
Oh, boy. And
Which-
he didn't use his little bell? Cling, 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 cling.
Correct.
All right.
At one point, Cumberbatch proclaimed that he was being verbally abused in public.
Wow.
I know.
Poor Benedict.
Big news coming out of England across the pond.
Well, it shows that my distaste for cyclists on the roads is international.
Same, but is there anything more embarrassing than video coming out about you arguing with another dude on a bicycle?
With your helmet on, and your
Both
I'm
had
guessing they
helmets on.
both have bike shorts, tight compression bike shorts, or they have the little bands around their pant legs.
Thankfully for them, they did not have that, but they were both wearing helmets, which...
Hard to
You
look
know.
tough.
Beloved sitcom house is opening to the public.
Swipe.
I'm also going to go swipe.
All right, Grammy-winning musician is suing Samsung.
Ooh. I think I saw this headline. I did not read the story. I will stay.
I will as well. I want to know who it is.
Any guesses?
Sabrina Carpenter.
That was a really good guess, but it's not Sabrina.
Okay.
Zommers?
I am going to guess Kendrick Lamar.
It is not Kendrick Lamar. It is Dua Lipa.
Oh.
Dua
why?
Lipa has beef with Samsung now
Oh, boy.
for using a copyrighted photo of her on the sides of their TV boxes without permission.
You can't do
Really?
that.
You cannot, Zommers, you know, you're in charge of a lot of things around here. We talk about copyrighted audio a lot in our industry, and we're
Wow.
sticklers on it. However, I can't imagine manufacturing boxes to sell TVs with a copyrighted photo of Dua Lipa from Austin City Limits Music Festival right on the side of the box. How do you let that one go? Anyway, we're running out of time. Dua Lipa is suing Samsung for $15 million.
Wow. That is crazy. All right. Well, Frank, another stellar edition of Swipe or Stay. We do it every morning at 7:20. So come back tomorrow for our respite. But stay around now because we're going to talk about the big bipartisan spending package that was passed yesterday here in Wisconsin. And some people are not happy. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network. Nice bump.
Good work, Zommers.
Sometimes you can find an instrumental version of a song that you might not expect.
Dude, Doctor Strange on a bicycle. And
That's hilarious.
live streamers, go after the show. Go look up the video. It's really hard to hear. Otherwise, I would have played the audio,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't have done us any good. really crank your speakers up and listen to it because it's actually hilarious. And this dude's going after him. Like, I don't
Really?
think I would. Yeah, and I don't think I would have the how do I put this?
Restraint?
I wouldn't have the stones, if you know what I mean,
I do.
to talk like this to Doctor Strange. You know what
Just
I
in
mean?
case he does have the power?
Well, yeah. Well, not only that, like, that's Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's
That's
true.
Sherlock Holmes. That's Doctor Who.
Oh, I forgot he was Doctor Who.
I don't know. I guess Brits have a very different demeanor.
Well, they also
Like,
have...
they don't care.
They don't care. They also have better profanities than us. You know?
They have way better profanities.
And it sounds better with the British accent.
I do hate a lot of British slang, but the profanity is more advanced
It's
than ours
good.
in many areas.
Yeah.
But like scrummy instead of scrumptious, no. Just stop.
I've never
say
heard
again.
that.
I never want to hear
I've
that
never
again.
heard that either. But that's why I hate people who say Sammy instead of a sandwich.
Yeah.
It
No,
Yeah,
you,
it is.
do you know what the new slang for sandwich is?
I hope it's sandwich.
Sando.
Paso.
Yeah, that I've heard.
All like the hipster restaurants that are making sandwiches call it a sando. And I can't stand it.
If I see that on a menu, I immediately
Are you
judge
leaving?
the restaurant. If I were alone, I would, but I will not order a sandwich at that place. I will not. I just hate it.
You don't want to
And
have to say sando.
It's the infantilization, the making everything childish about our society. Just say sandwich. It's not hard. Everybody knows what a sandwich
Well, we're not
is.
a regular sandwich. We've got sandos here, sir, and it's the best one you're gonna have.
Well, does it have bread and meats and stuff in there?
Sure does.
Is it a sandwich?
Sando.
No, idiot. It's a sandwich. Then I come across the counter, then I'm on swipe or stay because I was caught in a sandwich rage incident.
And that I would play I would play the video. I would take over the screen for StreamYard. I would play all of it.
Oh, yeah,
You
you'd
wouldn't
have
have to. We'd already be playing it.
There'd be
Yeah.
a lot of beeping, but I've been watching this show. We watched the first season. It's called Deadlock on, is it Apple? It's on Prime. And it's set in Australia. And it's like a crime show, but it's very, very funny. And one of the detectives, it's two women detectives, she's from a very small part in northern Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the insults and the the profanities are just the most creative, hilarious things I've ever heard. And I'm like, oh, I gotta start using that one.
Here's a good question for FCC. If we use another country's slang that isn't
Right.
obviously like one of ours with like one letter changed,
Sure.
does that count as a violation?
I don't know.
I
what
would think it depends on the intent. Like, if you are using it to describe, for example, a graphic sexual scenario, doesn't matter
Well,
what you
right.
say. You can't do
That's
that.
correct because it's under the lewd and obscene material portion of the law. But there's
But
some where it's like, this could go either way.
What if I wanted to call a woman the C word, but I called her a slag?
I imagine in Britain you might get taken off for that, but
For
here,
sure.
I
Not
don't
in
think
Britain,
anyone
Zoner.
would
Here.
cares.
We're not in Britain. We're in Wisconsin.
Thank God.
Also, Alicia already wants to jump in on this Blockbuster deal.
Okay.
The
Very nice.
Evers thing. She may dip out of it. Not a huge fan.
All right.
I have a feeling there's a lot of feelings with this.
I hope so. But again, every time we think there's going to be strong feelings and engagement, people are probably
1
yelling at their
seconds.
radios, but they're not jumping in to share them with us.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning, 7:35. A beautiful day across Wisconsin. Glad you're here with me on Daybreak. I am Brian Noonan. Jamie will be back with us next Monday. Before the news, I teased that we were going to talk about the big deal that Tony Evers passed with bipartisan support yesterday. Evers and GOP leaders reach a $1.8 billion deal to lower taxes, boost school funding. There's talk of a little rebate check coming. What are your thoughts on this big bipartisan spending package? Just from me teasing that we were going to talk about it, Alicia jumped in on social media and she said she is not on board with this blockbuster deal, not a huge fan. What say you? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Here's some of the details. So Governor Evers and Republican legislative leaders have struck a $1.8 billion deal to deliver new funding to schools, lower property taxes, and send direct payments to income tax filers across Wisconsin. Three big issues that we have been talking about in this state for a number of years. So, how are we going to do it? The bipartisan spending package comes 2 months after state lawmakers ended their regular session for the year, and at a time when the cost of living has become central to Wisconsin voters' decision-making ahead of the midterm elections, when control of the state legislature and the governor's office are up for grabs. Evers said it's a historic day for Wisconsin kids in schools, and I'm jazzed we were able to get this done. So you can sense the excitement when the governor is saying he is jazzed about something. He thinks this is a big deal. What do you think? The governor touted the bipartisan nature of the deal to reporters yesterday at a visit to Barnveld School District. Lawmakers in the state capitol are expected to pass the deal this week in a special session. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said Republicans have fought hard to control spending, and now we have a sizable budget surplus. We're sending it back to help families with the pressure of increasing costs, reward hard work, and to continue investing in schools to help stabilize rising cap prices. This is something that we've been talking about with this surplus. What are we going to use it for? We also know that during the last election, a lot of districts did not approve more funding votes, more referenda to raise taxes, to get some more money. So that's causing a huge upheaval throughout the school system. Some districts are going to have to consolidate. Some are cutting staff. Lot going on. So the proposed deal will spend down the state's projected $2.5 billion surplus that until now lawmakers have been unable to agree on how to spend. An Evers spokeswoman told reporters there are going to be funds left in the surplus, so they're not draining it. The deal does not tap into the state's rainy day fund of more than $2 billion. Now, does that change how you feel about it? How do you feel about this? Is this something, that you're in favor of? Are you like Alicia and you're dipping out? 855-75-CIVIC. That's how you get a hold of me. Here's the breakdown. The legislation will spend about $850 million on direct payments to income taxpayers. That's going to be it's going to be about $300 to individual filers. So guys like, if you're single, Parker's going to get $300 back. Zommers, I don't know your situation, but if you're married, you get $600 back. If you're single, you get $300 back. So either way, you're getting a little dough. The State Department of Revenue is still working out the details of distributing the rebates, but they'll be delivered without taxpayers having to take any action on their own. So one day you'll just show up at the mailbox and there'll be a check. And there's nothing better than mailbox money. Nothing better. That's fantastic.
That is very nice. It's not some, 11% rebate situation.
No. Here's $300. What do you want to do with it? You want to spend it on gas? Whatever you want to do. The deal also eliminates taxes on cash tips and reverses Evers' veto of a bill that eliminates taxes on overtime. Now, this has been negotiated for months and months, as you can imagine. Evers pushed for an increased funding for schools. Senate Republicans were focused on individual tax rebates. Assembly Republicans were caught somewhere in the middle. And that's when we start coming into people who are already upset about this. Now, on the surface, I'm looking at this, and we have this surplus. Again, not the rainy day fund. That's $2 billion. We keep that to the side. We use some of this $2.5 billion to pay down some things. We give some back to the people who, let's be honest, a lot of us are struggling just to make the day-to-day, whether it's groceries, whether it's not. Now, unlike an 18.5-cent gas tax being taken away, $300, you can do something with $300. You can get probably a couple weeks. Some people who are really thrifty shoppers could get a few weeks worth of groceries. It might help you pay a bill that you were pushing off because gas was so expensive. There's a lot of things you can do with $300 or $600 for a family. That's a nice chunk of change. Len is in Madison listening on WMDX. He says it's obvious that when your dollars are not earned, you have more dollars than cents. So I'm guessing you don't like this, Len. And feel free to elaborate. Mark is in Prairie du Sac. Better than a check in the mailbox is direct deposit. Well, sure, but then you got to give, and I know they probably have your bank account. Either way, you're going to get the money straight to you. You don't have to do anything, Mark. If we're going to quibble about how we're getting the money, then we've lost touch. Oh, you just sent me a check? I don't want a check. I want direct deposit. Well, if the check is the easiest way for them to do it, which it probably isn't, I might be way off. I just always think a check in the mail, but that's because I don't do a lot of. My wife does all the electronic banking here. I don't, I just use the debit card and hope for the best. Every time I put it in, I'm like, is this the day? Nope, still got money. All right, perfect. So, as I said, a lot of people are against this move. It sounds like Len in Madison is. What about you? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. So Democrats are coming out and slamming the governor's deal. They're saying this is not good. They're criticizing the deal that they struck, and they're criticizing tapping into the state's budget surplus for additional school funding and property tax relief. Well, listen, the school funding issue is not going away. And the property taxes, Wisconsin is already, if not the highest, one of the highest in the country. So there's got to be some relief. And if you believe in funding schools, which I do, and you believe that we have to educate our kids and we have to give teachers and districts the best possible tools to do that, you can't expect taxpayers to always shoulder the burden. Part of that falls on the states. That's why they are public institutions. Now, we could get into the whole, should we be subsidizing private schools with vouchers? And that's a whole other topic. I think you know my feelings on that. I am not a fan of that. I think if you want to go to public school or private school, God bless you. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope your kids do very well there. But that is a choice. Public schools are there for everybody. And I think it is incumbent on the government to make sure that we can fund it. So if we dip in to this surplus to fund schools, okay. Do we still have money left over? Yes, we still have money left over. Again, it's not depleting the surplus. It's not depleting the rainy day fund. And I'm going to keep repeating that because some people hear a headline and go, oh, they're just spending all the money. No, and they're not. I don't consider school funding and giving people a little break on their property tax wasteful spending. That's just me. You're welcome to your opinion. You're welcome to share it here, 855-75-CIVIC. So within hours of the deal's announcements, 3 Democrats who were running for governor blasted the agreement, and the Democratic leader of the state Senate, where the bill needs to pass to become law, raised doubts about its viability. Minority Leader Dianne Hasselbein said in a statement, "From my perspective, there is no deal. 3 men who will not be elected office next year have come up with this proposal, which Senate Dems will be reviewing. Any proposal must pass both houses of the legislature. No one knows if Republicans have the votes to pass it." Then Kelda Roys, who's been on this program, she's running for governor. She's a state senator from Madison. Also, she pledged to reject what she called a backroom deal and an election year bribe that gives a little one-time money to public schools while permanently cementing unfairness in our tax structure. Evers' own former cabinet secretary, Joel Brennan, assailed the negotiations between Evers and the GOP leaders. Budgets are difficult to negotiate, he said, and demand tough decisions. That's why I believe they must be done in public with input from Wisconsinites. It's very disappointing that this one wasn't. David Crowley, who was just on the program last week, he's the Milwaukee County executive running for governor. He said electing a new Democratic governor and giving control of the state legislature to Democrats, quote, is the only way to ensure real progress on lowering housing, child care, and health care costs, and finally take the pressure off property taxpayers for the long haul. In response to the criticism, Evers told the Journal-Sentinel, compromise is never perfect. That's how compromise works. Yes, and we've talked about these purity tests when it comes to candidates. There's never a perfect solution. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Jake wants to jump on. He's in Madison. Hi, Jake.
Hey, Brian. It was interesting reading how this developed, as the story developed throughout the day, because I agree with the general idea, and I like the compromise, like kind of a rebate of last year's property taxes, pay down this year's property taxes, help schools out in the short term. What I get, though, also is, like, the Dems running for governor, the Dems in the legislature, they're like, look, we're about ready to take everything over. Stop handcuffing us. If you kind of read between the lines, it also seems like they're kind of unhappy that they weren't part of this.
Well, sure.
So it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because if Evers wants to get something done and he wants to get out the door and have everything taken care of, and so do Voss and Lemahue, who are also out the door, right?
Right.
But on the same time, if that happens, then the Dems, if they win everything this November, as I hope they do, they're not going to be able to do everything they want to do. And so that's what I think they're actually upset about.
Well,
which actually could go further than what they have.
The Democrats need to always understand that it's not a zero-sum game, that you can't win everything, and when you negotiate, you have to. And I also believe, to Calderoy's point, that this is a one-time bribe. I think Wisconsin voters are much smarter than that. They'll see it as a little bit of relief, but they're not going to sell their vote for $300 or $600. They're still going to be able to look at what's going on and make an informed decision. And you know what? If they're going to give us a little bit of money back for our property taxes, and the schools are going to get a little money, and we still have some surplus, and we still have some rainy day fund, the Democrats, if they do take power, Jake, which I think you're right, it's all going to work out for them. Thanks for the call, Jake. We appreciate it. Let's see. Alyssa in Appleton says, I fully support investing in public schools, but we also can't forget about childcare. Childcare is where so much early learning, social skills, and emotional development starts. Families rely on it so they can work, and kids benefit so much from quality early care even before they get to kindergarten. If we want strong schools and strong communities, we need to invest in the early years too. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I know when we talked to David Crowley, that was one of the things he talked about, and a lot of other candidates are talking about it. There is a definite child care crisis in Wisconsin and nationwide, and we need to address that. And hopefully, Alyssa, whoever takes control, does just that. Thank you for the text. Thank you for getting involved. When we come back, hey, remember those beagles from Ridgeland Farms? They're starting to come out. All right, the show within the show. Thanks to everybody who commented during that segment.
Yeah, I think personally, my biggest issue is it's a one-time deal, and that
Sure.
I think I agree with you that it is a good thing. Mostly, what would be better is establishing some long-term solution.
Well, that's all. Yeah, that's always a better move to have a long-term solution. But sometimes you got to fix things in the short term, and then if you fix them in the short term, and power changes after November, then they can start working on the long-term solution. But a little help is better than no help. Patrick saying, if there is any money in this deal for private schools, I'm against it. Yeah, that's a big stumbling block for a lot of people, and I don't blame them. And that is I'm the product of a private school, private high school, private elementary school, but then my daughter was a public school kid. And I know the sacrifices you have to make if you want to send your kids to private school. But again, if we have good public schools, that's why my daughter went to public school, because our district had really, really good schools. We were very fortunate. And we moved there and paid higher taxes just for the schools. And once she was out of high school, we moved. So I don't need to pay these high taxes anymore. So you make your choice, I guess. Some people can afford to do both, pay high taxes and still send their kids to private school. We made the choice of living in an area as opposed and using the public school system, and it worked out pretty good for her. So. I see this story about these beagles, and I'm like, I'd like a beagle. And then I go, what? Are you nuts? Do you have dog? Do you have any pets, Zommers?
I do not. Can't really have them in my apartment I'm in. Also allergic to cats, which sucks because I like them.
Are you really?
15 seconds.
All facts, no fiction. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Welcome back. We were talking about the governor's big spending bill that he reached with Republicans, and now it will go to a vote in special session later this week. And Patrick jumped in on WMDX, said, if there is any money in this deal for private schools, I am against it. So I'm sure we'll be talking about this. Well, we'll definitely be talking about it later in the week, because once the vote comes, we'll have a decision one way or another. And but you're always welcome to chime in. Are you looking for a new dog? Perhaps you would like a beagle. 855-75-CIVIC. We've all been following this story. We've been talking about Ridgeland Farms. We've been talking about the protests. We were talking about the arrests at one of the protests. And then we talked about how Ridgeland was going to sell 1,500 of its dogs to shelters all over the country and all over Wisconsin to get the dogs out of there. So Dane County has finally got some of the dogs. The Dane County Humane Society welcomed 150 beagles from Ridgeland Farm yesterday. They're there. Now, don't run down there right now. You can't adopt them just yet, but I'll tell you how you can adopt them in just a second. So if you're looking for one of these beagles, that might be, they're getting close. So these are the first of 500 beagles in total that the Dane County Humane Society will receive throughout the rest of the week. That according to their director of marketing. 50 dogs are going to remain at the Madison shelter. The rest will be distributed to shelters across the Midwest. Ridgeland Farm, you know this, they breed beagles for biomedical research. The Blue Mounds facility became the center of a national controversy after animal rights activists broke in an attempt to free thousands of dogs at the facility. There was widespread scrutiny, there are the words that I was looking for, of the conditions. So in April, Ridgeland agreed to sell, like I said, 1,500 of its dogs to two animal rescue organizations after an anonymous donor funded the purchase. They were going to Big Dog Ranch, which is one of the organizations. The Dane County Humane Society, in partnership with the Beagle Freedom Project, the Wisconsin Puppy Mill Project, and Wisconsin Federated Humane Societies, is working to place 500 of the dogs in permanent homes. So the Wisconsin Humane Society is talking about 130 of the beagles from the Dane County Humane Society this week. They're taking in. First group includes 20 dogs that are going to Milwaukee. 20 are going to Green Bay. 90 more will follow May 12th and 13th. So the beagles are not available for adoption just yet, like I told you. So hang on. But why? Well, you know this. We've talked about this. Animal specialists have warned the beagles are going to need to transition into being dogs because they're not used to socializing. They're not used to being around people or other animals or walking on the grass or sitting, the stuff that regular dogs do who weren't raised in a pen somewhere. So there is an interest form that was created by the Dane County Humane Society. And if you want to adopt one of these dogs, go to giveshelter.org/Ridgeland Beagles. giveshelter.org/Ridgeland Beagles. They're also asking for donations to cover the costs of the dog's care because you can imagine 50 dogs coming in to 150 coming into one, more coming into another. Then they're moving these dogs around. On top of all the animals that are already at the Humane Society, they're going to need, and you can bring down old towels. You can bring down, if you have old dog beds and stuff that are in good condition, or what you really could do is donate a little money if you have it. And I know, Brian, you just started talking about how you've been talking about how expensive everything is. I know. So I'm not, but there's other ways you can donate if you want to help. So the Humane Society, the Humane Animal Welfare Society of Waukesha County also is expected to receive about 20 beagles today at the shelter in Waukesha. So if you are down there, I don't know if they have, you might want to check their website or give a call. Again, the beagles won't be ready for adoption for a little bit, and there's no information on whether they have one of those interest forms like the Dane County Humane Society does. Again, that website is giveshelter.org/Ridgeland Beagles. There's no D on Ridgeland. It's just Ridgeland Beagles. And see if you can, if you want one. It's hard because I'll tell you, I've talked many times about my 2 senior dogs and how I love them, but they're crazy. And, I'm at the age now where I want them to be around as long as possible. I welcome their presence in my home, but I don't think I'll be getting any more dogs after these guys are gone. But then I watch this and I'm like, oh man, those beagles look so cute. And I would love to rescue a beagle. And then I think to myself, no. Now, Zommers, you said you can't have a dog in your apartment building and you're allergic to cats.
Unfortunately.
That's horrible.
I've never had a dog. I did have cats when I was younger.
Okay.
I love other people's pets.
See, it's hard. And that's when we were moving, trying to find, because we're renting right now, and trying to find a place that allows pets is very difficult. And I'm like, our dogs are good. But, we have them and they're great. And then my grand dog comes over sometimes when they come to visit. And I love dogs. I have no animus against cats. I just, I've had bad experiences with cats. A buddy of mine had a cat. And I'm very gentle with animals. I love animals. This cat bit me and scratched me, and he's like, yeah, that's what they do. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want an animal that's going to attack me all the time. He's like, oh, she bites me. I'm like, then why do you keep her around?
Yeah.
Now, I did date a woman a long time ago who had 2 cats. I thought I may have told this story that I was very allergic at first. But then the more I was around those cats, the less the allergies bothered me.
Yeah,
So
that's the good thing. That
maybe,
happens to me
Zommers,
as
maybe
well.
you just need to rub cats all over your face for a while, and then you won't be
Maybe.
allergic anymore.
I could try it. I have friends with cats.
I'm no doctor. I'm just saying it's worth a try. Total immersion therapy. Go over there and get that cat dander all up in you and see what happens. All right, listen, if you are on WMDX, we have to say goodbye, but you can continue to listen. Yes, you can if you download the free Civic Media app. And if you miss any of the show, go to Spotify and subscribe to our podcast, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie. They are all there on Spotify, and you can get anything you may have missed. All right, when we come back, it's more stuff you need to know. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan on the Civic Media Network.
I will be right back.
All right, see you later. See you later. Boom, 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 boom. Anybody on the stream looking to adopt one of these beagles? I think Frank needs a beagle to wake him up. That would be great. Yeah, I couldn't. First of all, two dogs is plenty. You know, some would say 2 dogs is enough. 3 dogs. If you have more than 2 dogs and you're not like on a farm or something, that seems excessive. Even when Walter, our daughter's dog, comes to visit, the amount of extra effort to go from 2 dogs to 3 dogs is exponential. It's the wildest. You'd think, oh, one more little dog isn't going to change everything. It does. Plus, I miss having a fenced yard. I miss being able to just, in the morning, open the sliding door, let the dogs go out, keep an eye on them, but you don't have to get dressed right away, especially in the winter. Oh, I hated it. When we first moved to California, we were renting a condo, and it was on the 2nd floor of this building. And every morning, now we had come from our house that we had a backyard, fenced. So the dogs were used to just going out and running around. Well, now, not only did I have to take them out, I had to go up and down 2 flights of stairs and walk around the neighborhood. And then I got yelled at one day because I'm standing in the rain, literally in the rain, on the soggy grass. And I always picked up after my dogs because that's a pet peeve of mine, and it should be a pet peeve of yours, that people let their dogs do whatever, wherever. And this woman from her balcony in another building started screaming at me to pick up after my dogs. And I'm literally standing on this wet grass, shaking a bag full of dog poop at like 7 a.m, screaming back at her, I did pick up. What do you think is in this bag? Blah, 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 blah. That was the last time she ever popped her head out when I was walking the dogs. And it probably was I'll admit to having a short fuse sometimes, especially when I'm already aggravated because I'm standing in the rain begging my dog to do his business. And then I'm being accused of not cleaning up after my dog when I'm carting their poop back to the house. So that's just, I'm sure you've all been in that position. So we're not going to, we know how this works. Everybody doing the same thing. Have to see now. Yesterday, I was told that after one of the segments, somebody was on our Facebook page, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie. If you haven't gone over there and liked that, it's on Daybreak with Brian and Jamie. Also on Instagram. But somebody had posted some commentary.
It's gonna be a blast.
I was looking to see this alleged comment that Frank said came on the page yesterday, but I don't see any comments on there. Oh, maybe it was on, you know what? I bet it was on the Civic page.
You say the secret page?
The Civic page.
Oh, Civic page.
Civic page. Let me see. Somebody got upset because I was talking about WKRP in Cincinnati yesterday. And I was saying how it was like Gilligan's Island, where there were two camps. One was Camp Lonnie Anderson, and one was Camp Jan Smithers, Bailey Quarters. Somebody got very upset that I was giving my opinion on women. I was like, oh, I didn't think that was controversial to say, you know. Some people are Gingers, some are Mary Ann's, some are Jennifer, some are Bailey Quarters. I was a Mary Ann Bailey guy.
All right, 10 seconds.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Welcome to hour 3 of Daybreak. I am Brian Noonan. Jamie is off this week. She will be back with us on Monday, doing a little business this time, no vacation. But that's all right. We will endeavor to carry on until her return. We will also endeavor to carry on because Aaron Zommers is here today in for Parker. He's doing a yeoman's job behind the board there, and he's also ready to play something when I say, hey, guess what? It's time for something you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
So much that we need to know, so little time to share it, and yet here I am giving a big buildup instead of getting right to it. Well, President Trump has made another nomination, this time to lead FEMA. Boy, didn't we have somebody leading FEMA? Yeah, she didn't do too good. So he nominated Cameron Hamilton Monday to lead the Federal Emergency Management Agency, a notable comeback for the former Navy SEAL who was fired from his role as FEMA's temporary leader last year after he defended its existence. That makes sense. That part makes sense. The part that he's being nominated again makes no sense. The part where if you go against the administration and you defend something against their wishes, they fire you. But to bring him back, well, his nomination comes as the Trump administration has increasingly signaled it is backing away from promises to dismantle FEMA, an agency that has faced withering criticism by the president. The nomination of Hamilton, who argued abolishing FEMA was not in the country's best interests, is the latest indication of the change. Yeah, that was another one of those Doge things where we're going to get rid of FEMA and let the states handle it. Well, as you know, if you are in the middle of a natural disaster, whether it's flooding like we've had here in Wisconsin last year and this year, or whether it's a hurricane or tornadoes or wildfires, the states are not equipped financially to fully battle that on their own. We need federal help, and that's what FEMA is known for. Now, have they always run smoothly? Absolutely not. I'm looking at you, Hurricane Katrina, and others, but it is a necessary agency. So if confirmed, Hamilton will be the principal advisor to the president and Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullen on emergency management and FEMA's first permanent administrator in Trump's second term. The agency has gone through 3 temporary leaders, including Hamilton's brief tenure from January to May of last year. He would take over an agency that is still reeling from Kristi Noem's turbulent leadership of the Department of Homeland Security, of which FEMA is a part. FEMA's workforce has been worn down by mass staff departures, policies that hamstrung operations, and a 75-day-long DHS shutdown that ended at the end of April. Hamilton will need to ensure the agency is prepared for summer disaster season, just weeks away from hurricane season starting, while answering to Trump, who is likely to expect major reforms after a council he appointed recommended sweeping changes last Friday. And if we know the president, we know he will be nothing if not patient, waiting for those changes to be implemented. Right. Now, Hamilton had never been a state or local emergency management director before. He had publicly criticized FEMA in the past, was a controversial choice the first time he was named in January of 2025. His friction with DHS officials began as he defended a federal role in supporting disaster-impacted states, tribes, and territories. DHS officials even subjected him to a polygraph test accusing him and other officials of leaking details of a private meeting. He passed those polygraphs, but said he knew his dismissal was inevitable, and at a May 7th appearance before the House Appropriations Committee, Representative Rosa DeLauro, and a Connecticut Democrat, asked Hamilton if he believed FEMA should be abolished. This is the statement that got him in trouble. He said, "I do not believe it is in the best interest of the American people to eliminate the Federal Emergency Management Agency." The next day, he was fired. But now he's back. Maybe. He's being nominated again. It's one more thing where this administration cannot make up their mind, acts in a rash manner, then either has to backpedal or try in another way to cover up a decision that they made by telling us they didn't make it and it was something else. And I'm sure we'll hear something about Hamilton having learned his lesson. I'm sure that will come from the president in some way. It's just a prediction. Take it for what it's worth. If you're on a poly market, maybe you put a couple bucks on it. But I would say he learned his lesson is going to be part of this new nomination process. Coming a little closer to home on You Need to Know, Racine County and 2 juvenile detention center staff members in Caledonia have been sued for allegedly using excessive force on a teen. In a statement, the county says it has made changes since this alleged incident. The teen's mother, Kiana Reed, brought the lawsuit against the county and Robert and Jordan Knight, described in the suit as former and current security coordinators. The facility, the Jonathan Delgrave Youth Development and Care Center, opened less than a month before the incident is alleged to have happened. The lawsuit alleges that on May 27th last year, a teen who suffers from emotional and psychological disabilities became emotionally dysregulated, and the Knights egged him on and physically attacked him with excessive force that violated his Eighth Amendment rights. Now, in December, the state public defender's office released video footage of part of the incident, which appeared to show 4 staff members directing the then 15-year-old to move from a spot by the wall in the hallway, possibly to a nearby room, and the teen not moving. That's according to the Wisconsin Examiner. After a staff member took a swing at the teen, the situation devolved into a struggle. The teen was struck repeatedly by staff before and after he was on the ground. The lawsuit then says that his placement in the facility stemmed from being found guilty of a misdemeanor count of retail theft and a misdemeanor count of obstructing an officer. The lawsuit also alleges that the teen did not punch, kick, or otherwise try to injure the Knights during the incident. Robert and Jordan Knight hit him over 20 times with closed fists, knee strikes, and elbow strikes. On Friday, the Wisconsin Examiner asked the district attorney's office for a statement on why the office declined to pursue prosecution. District Attorney Tricia Hansen said in an email that the lawsuit does not change her decision. She said the burden of proof in a criminal case is significantly higher than in a civil case. In December, the public defender's office called for a full-scale investigation into conditions at the facility and the qualifications of staff members. In its statement last Friday, the county said it will respond to the allegations through the legal process and will not further discuss the pending lawsuit. All right. Well, we'll discuss it, and then we'll follow it and see what happens. Continuing on, good news today possibly for some businesses, because the first wave of tariff refunds are going to reach some American businesses today, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The government launched an online portal last month where companies could file to get money back for tariffs that they paid that were ruled illegal by the Supreme Court, which said the administration exceeded its authority. Now, more than 330,000 importers paid the tariffs collected under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. That totaled $166 billion. As of April 26th, at least 75,000 businesses have applied for refunds. That, according to a court filing. Trump has railed against the Supreme Court's 6-3 ruling, including 2 of the justices he appointed being targets of his venom, Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett. In April, he said he would remember companies that didn't seek a refund. I don't know what that means. I think I know what that means. You probably think you know what that means. And if we all think we know what that means, there's a really good chance with this administration that that's what that means. That he would remember. I remember you did me a good turn. So, whatever. A CPB spokesperson told ABC News about 15% of the claims that have been submitted were rejected, typically just due to incorrect information or ineligible shipments being included on a claim. In recent weeks, major companies like General Motors have said they expect hundreds of millions of dollars in refunds. An analysis by Citi last month found that Walmart is due $10 billion, Target is owed $2 billion, Nike's due about $1 billion, and Macy's is owed $320 million. And you're thinking, oh, that's great, Brian. The businesses are going to get money back, and so we'll get a kickback because we overpaid because they were charging more because of the tariffs. Right? Wrong. Sorry. No money for you, no soup for you, no tariff money for you. Consumers should not expect to see direct refunds. Many companies have said they'll use the refunds from the government to pay down debt, rehire employees, restock inventory, or perhaps lower prices. Yeah, notice how that comes last? We're going to get the money back, and yeah, we raised prices because of the tariffs, and sure, we're getting our money back, but we might lower prices. Maybe not. We'll see. It's less likely they will contact shoppers who paid higher prices over the past year and give money back for those purchases. Yeah, you think? All right, so good news for businesses, same old news for you and me. Now, our final thing today is, and I understand if you're tired of hearing stories about this administration. I get it. But they monopolize the news. This is a big one. Just because it affects a beautiful piece of American history that we've all seen in iconic photos. It's been the site of marches. It's been the site of protests. It's been the site of concerts. Just a beautiful thing. And I'm talking about the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. A nonprofit organization is attempting to stop the Trump administration's repainting of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, alleging the plan, quote, willfully disregards legal limits established by Congress. I don't know if you've started to see this. They're using American flag blue to make it look like the inside of a pool. Now, if you don't know, the reflecting pool is made of granite, and the dark granite reflects the images around it, hence the reflecting pool name. The blue does not. So it's just going to look like a lap pool instead of reflecting not only the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the trees that line it, just being a beautiful piece of America's backyard, but no. So the Cultural Landscape Foundation filed a lawsuit yesterday in D.C. federal court asking a judge to halt the renovations until the Trump administration gets approval from Congress. The lawsuit alleges about the project, which is part of the president's beautification efforts that include renovations to the White House East Wing, a planned triumphal arch near Arlington National Cemetery. They said every day that the resurfacing continues, the historic character of the reflecting pool is being further and fundamentally authored. Beautification efforts that include renovations are not beautification efforts at all because the reflecting pool and surrounding landscape are on the National Register of Historic Places as part of the National Mall Historic District. The lawsuit alleged that the Trump administration should have gotten approval for the changes under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. We know that does not happen. He does whatever he wants. The latest desecration of the reflecting pool is part of a pattern epitomized most notably by the rush to destroy the East Wing of the White House, in which the administration willfully disregards legal limits established by Congress, the lawsuit alleges. So, spokesperson for the Department of the Interior defended this to ABC News, saying, repainting the pool American flag blue and installing a new filtration system are wonderful additions. Thanks, but no thanks. All right, friends, let me ask you this. Can a white man be the subject of discrimination? I know, kind of touchy. I'll tell you why I'm asking that, and we'll get into it more when we come back. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
No soup for you. Come back. 1 year.
No soup for you.
To jump ahead on the question, I would say a white man can face discrimination. A white man can't face racism.
Oh, all right.
That's my take on it. But then
Well,
again, I haven't
but if
heard
you're
what
being
about to say.
discriminated against because you are a white man, is that in fact a form of racism?
And perhaps, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I have been discriminated against for my race one time, and it taught me a lot.
All right. Well, hang on to that story, Zommers. Are you willing to share?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Oh, no, Roger. I did not hear him call the White House an S-hole during the presser yesterday. Wow.
Did he really? Oh my gosh.
It wouldn't
Can't say I'm
surprise me.
surprised.
He is. Well, it is now because of the way he redecorated it. Looks like Liberace's bathroom, the whole place. More gold.
10 seconds.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Welcome back. I am Brian Noonan. Jamie will be back next week. All right. This one, I saw this story, and I think it'll spark a nerve. Maybe it won't. Maybe you're cool with it. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Here's the question for you. Can a white man be subject to discrimination? Or is this someone overreacting because they didn't get a job they wanted and they're going to blame it on reverse discrimination, reverse racism, whatever? Is that even possible? All right, here's why I'm asking you this question. The EEOC, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, they sued the New York Times yesterday this was late last week, alleging that the news organization violated federal law by passing over a white male employee for a promotion. All right. Right there, that sounds like sour grapes. I didn't get a job. We've all been passed over for promotions, or we've all been passed over for a job. According to the EEOC chair, no one is above the law, including elite institutions. Now, the EEOC chair, coincidentally or not, fact is she's an appointee of President Trump, went on to say that there is no such thing as reverse discrimination. All race and sex discrimination is equally unlawful according to long-established civil rights principles. You mean like voting, which we're trying to, well, let's not get into that. Why quibble about specifics? She went on in her statement to say federal law is clear. Making hiring or promotion decisions motivated in whole or in part by race or sex violates federal law. There is no diversity exception to this rule. Now, the lawsuit was filed in federal district court in Lower Manhattan. It alleges that the New York Times violated Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Title I of the Civil Rights Act of 1991 in denying an unnamed employee promotion. The EEOC said the Times' emphasis on diversity, equality, and inclusion, DEI, which is, oh man, That is a Trump and MAGA bugaboo. They don't want you to worry about diversity. They don't want you to worry about inclusion. They just want you, they don't need equity. They want to make sure that, hey, whoever's best, right? Whoever's best gets the job. Unless whoever's best is not that white guy, then everybody's a DEI hire. It doesn't matter what their backgrounds are. We will say they are a DEI hire, which, in my opinion, is what's happening here. So, DEI, they're trying to get rid of it everywhere. You hear Pete Hegseth talk about it all the time. You hear Donald Trump talk about it all the time. It's their buzzword. The New York Times had a statement too, and they said the New York Times categorically rejects the meritless and politically motivated allegations that the Trump administration's EEOC is pursuing against us. That, according to their spokeswoman, she put that in a statement Sunday. That was after the newspaper first reported on the litigation. Throughout this process, the EEOC deviated from standard practices in highly unusual ways, blatantly weaponizing a traditionally independent government body to serve a predetermined value, or a narrative, rather. Is that starting to sound familiar? Is that claim ringing true for you? Because, they've come right out and said it, that they've weaponized the DOJ to go after political enemies. We know that the quote-unquote failing New York Times, which is how the president refers to it all the time, is not his, probably not what he's reading during his morning constitutional, if he reads at all. No, he hates the New York Times. So this feels like just like a Justice Department move with a weaponization of the FCC, the EEOC, the Justice Department. He has enabled all of these entities to work as his private lapdogs to get revenge on people. How do you feel about this? Do you think a white guy can be discriminated against? You're hearing more of the facts of this story. Is this ringing true to you? Or does this sound like, I contend, just more weaponization of another department of the government against political rivals, perceived or real? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Let me finish this, and then Zommers, you had let's get to your story because we're running out of time. You said you were discriminated against once for being a white guy?
Yeah, I was at a restaurant in a predominantly black neighborhood with my significant other at the time, and the staff kept cracking jokes like, "Oh, you get some lightning fast service." The other person like, "Shut up, stop it." And we got seated back in a corner. You could see families looking and asking to be seated away from us. Other people came in and got their food and left before we got food, but we're like, well, we're not just going to leave. We probably should have, but, yeah, it was interesting, and it taught me a lot. I was like, okay, this is what some people experience just about every day of their lives. That's horrific. So yeah, it was interesting.
I don't know if I will agree that it was a very unpleasant experience. I don't know if it rose to the level of discrimination because they let you come in and sit down, and allegedly
not legal discrimination.
Allegedly they were going to serve you, but yes, you were treated in a discriminatory manner. But I still think that this is political because there was one Democrat on this commission. They voted against authorizing the lawsuit. She said everyone is entitled to employment protections under the law. The mere existence of DEI policies isn't enough to demonstrate misconduct. And I would agree with that wholeheartedly. But here we go. More of the weaponization of our government against political adversaries. On the other side of the news, I want to know, what changes have you made to your spending due to inflation and gas prices? A new report's coming out today, but I want to hear how it's affecting you on the ground here in Wisconsin. What changes have you made? We'll get into all of that and more as we head into the final half hour of the big program. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan, and this is the Civic Media Network.
Yeah, definitely I guess what I experienced is definitely not legally.
I think
the term
you
discrimination.
you experience bigotry
Yeah,
more so
yeah.
than discrimination.
So right,
But it would still
I guess,
that would still suck because if it would be wrong. It was wrong that they did that to you. It would be wrong if a black family came in and it happened to them in a predominantly white restaurant. Just because it's wrong to one person doesn't mean it's not wrong to everybody. So
right.
But you weren't treated that way because of a DEI policy at
No, it had
the
nothing
restaurant.
to do with employment. It had nothing to do with
No, and it could,
Yeah.
Had you talked to the owner maybe or the manager, things might have been different. This might have been one or two employees who were just dicks.
and maybe very well may have been.
But I'm not discounting that it would suck. Did you ever eat or?
We did eventually get food, although it was missing some ingredients, and again, we probably should have just left.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Whatever our decision making was at the time, we decided to stay.
Well, then there's that white guilt that you don't want to walk out and, well, there's two things. You don't want to let them see that they won for treating you horribly. And you also don't want to, on the flip side, look like you're,
Exactly.
like
We don't
you're
wanna be-
you're behaving like they are behaving toward you.
Oh, I'm too good. I don't want to be like, I'm too good for this place or something.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
it's-
not give them money and whatever. It's, yeah.
Whereas
The
if it had been,
interesting-
any other restaurant, if you had been treated that way, you would have left.
Probably.
Yeah. I know
The
I would
most
have.
interesting thing was my significant other forgot their phone at the table.
Ooh.
And we left a normal tip despite that service. And the waiter ran out with the phone. And we had the thought, if we had not tipped normally, they probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. You would
Was the
hope.
guess. We don't
you
know,
would hope
but-
that, no, it is it's a guess based on past actions that seems accurate, but that's just blows.
Well, that was like 8 years ago. Now it's just a fun story.
I get nervous when it's this quiet for so long.
Can give you some sound effects. Like the
No,
wind
that's fine.
whistling
I
in the
just,
background.
when it got that quiet, I was like, wait, are we that close? And I looked at the clock. I was like, no, we still got
10
time.
seconds.
Now we're close.
Beer Early solid, and better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Hello. Welcome back. I'm Brian Noonan. This is Daybreak on the Civic Media Network. Welcome to everybody across Wisconsin. A little rain today for a short period in Madison. Overall, pretty good day, though. And then it's going to get warm for the weekend, so enjoy the outdoors if you can. Okay, what changes have you made to your spending due to inflation, due to gas prices? Have you canceled trips? Are you combining trips? Are you not buying certain things at the store? How is this affecting you on a daily basis? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842 is my number. If you're calling in, be nice to Aaron. He's in for Parker today, so to get to me, you got to get through him. So an inflation report is coming out today, and it's going to provide a fresh gauge of prices as the Iran war ratchets up costs for gasoline, airfares, other expenses, farmers who cannot get fertilizer. It's everything. We are in trouble. Now, economists expect consumer prices to have risen 3.8% in April. With a surge in gasoline costs, that's when it took hold weeks into the war. It would mark a significant acceleration from the 3.3% in the previous month. Now, I don't claim to understand all these economic numbers. I never have, but I know on a day-to-day basis, on the ground here in Wisconsin, we're paying more for everything. So as recently as February, inflation stood at 2.4%, clocking in a tick above the Federal Reserve's target level of 2%. The Middle East conflict has prompted the Iranian closure of the Strait of Hormuz. You know that. That is the trading route where most of the, 20% of the global supply of oil goes through there. It's prompted one of the largest oil shocks ever recorded. While the U.S. is overall an exporter of petroleum, it means the country produces more oil than it consumes. However, the oil prices are set on a global market. U.S. prices move in response to swings in worldwide supply and demand. You know that crude oil is the main ingredient for auto fuel. That's about half of the price paid at the pump, according to Federal U.S. Energy Information Administration. So, according to this, the average gallon of gas yesterday stood at $4.52 a gallon, an increase of $1.54 per gallon since the war began February 28th. That amounts to nearly a 52% price jump in 2.5 months. Within weeks, the jump in prices could spread to groceries, furniture, just about any other item delivered by diesel-fueled trucks and tankers. That's what analysts are telling ABC News. The recent rise in prices has left many consumers feeling stretched, feeling sad, feeling frustrated, feeling lost. May consumer sentiment fell to the lowest level ever recorded, according to a monthly survey conducted by the University of Michigan. That survey's been going on since 1978, and this is the lowest. How are you dealing with it on a daily basis? What changes have come to your house? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Now, consumer spending, which amounts to about 2/3 of U.S. economic activity, could weaken if shoppers remain pessimistic. In theory, a slowdown of spending could slow the economy, and this is going to affect what the Fed does, and we know the president has it in for the Fed. He is not a fan of how slow they're moving. The president, it could be pressure more on the Fed to raise interest rates as a means of dialing back inflation. They have opted to hold interest rates steady at 3 consecutive meetings since the outset of this year. Before that, the Fed cut interest rates 0.25 straight times. This is rough. And I know for me, it's made a difference in my driving. I have made a concerted effort to try to combine trips. My mom, unfortunately, at this point lives about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. So that is, at this point, my biggest gas consumption. And I do that 1 to 2 times a week. Everything else, like today I have to go to the grocery store. Well, I have 3 stops, but I'm able to get those 3 stops within 1 or 2 blocks of each other. So I'm going out 1 time today, and I am going to try to get all my errands done just to save some gas. And I've also looked at the the flyers. I've used my grocery apps. I'm trying to save money there wherever I can, because things that I bought 6 months ago are now $1 or $2 more expensive than they were before. So I am doing my best to do everything, and I know I'm not the only one. 855-75-CIVIC. Cindy is in Appleton. She wants to join the show. Good morning, Cindy.
Well, what I'm concerned about is people who are on a strict budget, like people with Social Security and stuff like
Sure.
that, how that's affecting them. Because I'm just wondering, when the COLA comes around at the beginning of the next year, is it going to reflect what has happened over, the consumer index here to help people? Because I think that's where people are going to really be in trouble if we don't get a cost of living raise that affects or reflects the real cost of living, which is really going to start to hurt people. I mean, it hasn't affected me too much yet, but I'm a school bus driver, and once I don't have bus driving for the summer and I lose that income, then it's going to affect me greatly. So.
Yeah, things are rough, and that's a very good question, Cindy. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it. It's if you're on that fixed income, if you're on your Social Security or whatever, and you see these prices going up, there's really not much you can do. You can hope for a cost of living increase, but we see how the president feels about Social Security and all the other programs that are meant to be a safety net and meant to help people. And Social Security, you've been paying in your entire life, so it is not a safety. It's a safety net, but it's your money. We see his disdain for those policies. So I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that cost of living raise, but it is a big deal. Zommers, you're a young man. I know you work in radio, so you're probably rolling in the dough. You've got you got more money than you can spend. Are you making any changes?
Yeah, I definitely am skewing more towards non-perishables and buying in large quantities. I mean, I had a Costco membership before, but sometimes I stuck with the convenience of shopping close and just buying stuff when I need it. I've been trying to plan ahead a lot more and buy, a stupid big container of rice, buy a ton of chicken and freeze it, things like that. And also not going out as much. Not that I did a lot anyway, but stuff like that mostly is what I've been doing.
Yeah, the social stuff it's the first that most of us cut, but it's the one that we kind of still need. And need is a strange term, but you know what I mean. And I'm not talking about going out every day or every weekend and doing big extravagant things, but just to get a break, we all need those. We all need to go out, and that doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. But even now, driving somewhere, if you just want to go somewhere and hike, you got to pay for gas, and then maybe one meal, but you got to get some snacks for the road, right? But so there's always places we have to cut. And you're funny when you said about the chicken and stuff. I watch, and when you really start following grocery store cycles, you can kind of tell when things are going to come back on sale. So I'm always watching. And when chicken breast goes on sale, they usually have a limit of 10 pounds. I go in, I buy those 10 pounds, I put them in the freezer. Ground beef goes on sale, I buy the limit, and then I put it in the freezer. And now, all of a sudden, you've got the freezer stocked with stuff. When you break it down, you go, oh, okay, this is a reasonable price over the time, and per meal, you're getting a lot of meals in the freezer, and you're ready to go. And I know, you said you did it, Zommers. We're not the only ones. People are trying to find any way to make sure that they can save just a few bucks. How are you saving? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. I know, you put off big purchases, you put off non-essential purchases. But if you're a business person, if you're in the trucking industry or you're dependent on things being delivered to you by truck, you might get a little of that tariff money back today, but you're also going to be paying more because now the firms that are bringing you your merchandise are going to have to charge more because their diesel fuel costs more. So once again, we're back in that cycle where if I'm business A and all of a sudden I have to pay more to get my product, well, I either can take a beating or I have to pass that cost on to the consumer. So once again, we are caught in that lurch. We're not getting tariff money back. We're going to end up paying more because of what's happening with the oil prices and the diesel fuel prices and everything else. And if you are a farmer, you're waiting for your even if and I read a report that a lot of farmers had pre-ordered and paid for their fertilizer before the prices went up. Well, that's fine, but now they're having trouble getting it because the fertilizer can't get through the straits. So you tried to make a money-saving move there, and you're still getting screwed over because you're not getting your fertilizer. And it's just bad. Now, I think we will all be waiting with bated breath to see how this report when it comes out, if it is as disheartening as some of the numbers point to, how it is spun by the administration. Will we be gaslit again to tell us, no, you're overreacting. Things are not expensive. The minute the strait opens, gas prices will plummet, which we all know based on economists and experts from around the globe are saying, no, it doesn't work that way. Even when the straits are open, it could take up to a year to get things back to where they were before this war started. So, if you can believe what they're selling you, I don't know how you can also go to the store and pay higher prices and go to the pump and pay higher prices and not notice that. Because all you have to do is look at your bottom line. Are you paying more for everything? Yes. Are you having to make changes? Some of us are. I know people who have changed plans. We were talking to Jamie last week for this trip she's on. They were jumping through all kinds of hoops to find an airfare that was even remotely reasonable. And granted, it was a last-minute thing, but she had to go, she was going to Rochester, then to Minneapolis, then all over. People are having to make changes, having to make sacrifices. And I know that's part of life, is making changes and sacrifices. But it's not supposed to be this hard, where you have to decide on, do I drive to work, so I have to pay my money in gas, or do I buy food? And, do we have to eat just ramen or mac and cheese or cereal for every meal? Or can we afford to buy some chicken when it's on sale or some hamburger when it's on sale? Or does that have to go to gas too? And that vacation we were going to go on for the summer, or maybe that travel baseball trip we were going to take, that's not looking like it's going to happen, because between gas prices and hotel prices and grocery prices and restaurant prices, you don't have any options. It's going to be a rough summer and a rough few weeks for a lot of us. So, plan accordingly, and we'll see what happens today when that report comes out, how it is spun and how it is responded to. When we come back, Frank, I'm going to want to ask you this question as a fellow big man. Chipotle is coming back, and because they're responding, they're at odds over their portion sizes. So yes, we will talk amongst ourselves and with you at 855-75-CIVIC. Would you ever dare ask for more at a fast casual restaurant? That's what we're talking about next. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan on the Civic Media Network. Final segment coming at you.
Right in my wheelhouse.
Hi, Frank.
What up?
Nothing. Getting ready to wrap it up.
Nope.
I'm done.
About time. About 30 years too late, Noonan.
Wow. Well, that's probably true. I want to go back and punch my college counselor in the face.
Not exactly normal American restaurant culture to just go up and be like, hey, can I have more, actually?
More, sir. Please, sir. Can I have some more?
I'm not going to say too much because we're in break, but I have a lot of thoughts.
I don't want to do the show before the show.
The show within the show, sure, but before,
show within the show. Well, I don't, show before.
That's why I try not to talk about the next topic in the show within the show. Because that ain't right.
Well, I'm just here to break all the rules.
Do you
can do what
here?
you want.
Well, I'll pivot slightly. Do you guys
Yes.
have a favorite slop bowl restaurant?
Slop bowl? What is that?
That's what they're called. Your Chipotle's, your Qdoba. There's Naf Naf Grill. There's Kava.
Well, you're saying things I don't even know.
You
Naf
stand
Naf
in
Grill I've
line.
been to. Yeah.
Stand in line. Do you want this?
I didn't
No.
know it was called a slop bowl.
It's what the youths are calling it.
Listen, these are the same Sando kids. I want to stop.
It's what it
It's
is.
not
It's a slop
inaccurate.
bowl. It's what it is, right?
It is.
Anybody on the
think
live stream, if you have a favorite slop bowl place, let us know.
I gotta say Qdoba because they give you chips. It's complimentary with your bowl, whereas Chipotle, you have to make an order of chips, and even if the price isn't different, I don't remember if it is. It makes me feel bad. I'm like, I don't want to. This is free over there.
Qdoba's good. Here's what I'll say. Qdoba's good. Every Qdoba I've been to has been like the worst experience of all time, though.
That is true. I have
Where
had
the
that as
workers
well.
are like pissed off that you're even there. And this is just my experience. This has to do with the state of Michigan, not the state of Wisconsin. I'm sure
Okay.
Wisconsin's Qdoba restaurants
Wisconsin
are
Qdoba's
tip-top.
rule. Okay.
There was one by my house when I lived in Michigan for 5 years. I remember it was at like the tail end of COVID. And we walked in to order, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean? I'm here to order food." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, you're going to have to do it on the app."
What?
I said, "What?"
Interesting.
He's like, "Yeah, it's to limit contact." I said, "So how am I getting my food?" He's like, "Well, you'll have to come in and get it." I said, "You're telling me if I walk outside that door and I order it on the app, I can order, but I can't do it right here." He's like,
All right.
"That's right."
10 seconds. Wow, that's bizarre.
Yeah, that Qdoba closed.
All facts, no fiction. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. I've just learned a new term in the show within a show, slop bowl. Frank is back joining us. I wanted to talk to you about this, Frank. First of all, this story centers around Chipotle initially, but then it gets into a bigger story about our appetites. So I've never been a big fan of Chipotle. It's well known in my house. My wife and daughter love it. My mom likes Chipotle. I have always thought they were overpriced for the amount of food you've gotten. And that is the basis of this. Chipotle is hearing that from a lot of people. And their CEO, though, has doubled down on a promise that customers can always get larger portions if they simply ask. But social media is saying, no, we don't buy it. So in a recent interview with Yahoo Finance, Chipotle CEO Scott Boatwright told the host that if customers think their portions are getting smaller, they should just ask for more. I don't want to pay double meat because that's what they do. If you say, oh, that's not enough chicken, can I have some more? Do you want double chicken? No, I just want one single order of chicken that's, worth the 11 or
Right.
12 bucks I'm paying for. He went on to say it's always been our brand ethos and still is to this day. We serve big, beautiful bowls and burritos, full stop, no questions asked.
He
That's
did not
a lie.
say big, beautiful bowl.
He said big, beautiful bowls.
Oh, my gosh.
That is the quote. I wouldn't say it was a quote if it wasn't. If you want more, just ask the team member. I promise you there's never a team member on that line that's going to say no. Oh,
Ooh,
Mr.
hard-
Boatwright.
I hard
You been to one of
disagree
the
there.
restaurants?
No. You need to do an undercover boss because that's not true. I've seen them throw rice in the bowl that barely covers the bottom of the bowl. But here's the thing, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I brought you in because you and I are both larger guys.
Yeah.
I would, even now that I've lost weight and I'm getting in better shape, I would never ask for more food because I would just think they're going, oh, sure, fatty. What do you need? Some more chicken? I go, yes, but I'm paying for more. I'm paying for a decent
Right.
amount.
Here's
So-
what I'll say. I
Yes.
think a lot of the frustration with this particular slop bowl restaurant.
All right, explain slop bowl because you
If
use
you
that
don't
term.
know the term.
and I do not know the term.
A slop bowl restaurant is a restaurant that's kind of like cafeteria style, where you build your bowl full of slop, basically. Do you want rice? Do you want beans? There's Chipotle, there's Qdoba, there's Naf
Would
Grill
you put
for
Panda
Middle East.
Express in that? Because it's cafeteria style, and they throw the stuff on the plate.
But it's not like a bunch of toppings. Like it's
true.
It's a finite amount of. If it was like pick your protein and then pick the sauce that goes on the protein, and then pick your veggies that go on the protein.
I see what you're saying. So the sauces and the corn and the cheese and sour cream.
I use that tongue in cheek. I really like these restaurants.
Oh, me too.
Right, they're delicious. I went to college at like the height of Chipotle. Like where I never had to if I was ordering double chicken, it was the biggest burrito and the biggest bowl you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
And it's because I really wanted to indulge. There were times where you get the new guy or the new girl that's looking over at the manager and like shakes a little bit off the spoon.
Yeah.
That's what gets me going. It's like, what are we doing? You already picked it up.
Come on.
Put it in the bowl. No one's counting. Whatever. They will accommodate. If you want extra rice, if you want extra beans, if you want extra sour cream, all that stuff. It's only the protein where they really have an issue with.
But that's what people want. If I want these steak, tacos or something, I want more than 1 cube of steak on there, and I don't want to made to be feel like a glutton because I say, hey, how about a little something for the effort there, sir and or madam?
And here's my tip for everybody.
Eat at home?
Well, 2 things. I mean, if you can, go for it. Make your own. Walk into Chipotle. Never pre-order.
No.
Ever pre-order.
No, you got to see. You got to see what they're up to.
You got to see what you're working with.
Right.
You walk in and you have to study the scoops beforehand. If it looks like somebody that's giving you a normal amount, stay in line. If you see somebody that's really chinsing everybody.
Oh, Frank broke up.
Can you hear me?
No, we heard chinsing everybody and then you stopped.
Then you leave. If it's somebody that's really stingy with the scoops of meat, you leave.
Yeah, but what if you walk in and there's no line and you walk right up to the counter? Your plan is kaput because now I don't know. I go,
then you have to have the confrontation.
Lift up a scoop.
You have to have the gumption to say, look, I'm hungry. Could you at least put a little bit more on there?
Yeah.
And then if they argue with you about it and say it's a double scoop, then you just don't go back. Right. That's your right as a consumer.
That is. Well, consumers are calling Boatwright clueless and said the company is getting eaten alive by their competitors. Yahoo Finance noted that in Q4, Chipotle's same-store sales declined by 2.5%. Those who order online made sure their interests were represented too. See, Frank, you're talking about them. One commenter said, how can you be a CEO and be this out of touch? What about the huge amount of people who order online? Train your employees to put a good amount. It's not that hard. You are the CEO. True that.
If Chipotle was always this bad, it wouldn't be going through this. But the decline in quality and quantity has been noticeable throughout the years as the price keeps increasing.
Well, the price keeps increasing. Like I said, I've always had that feeling about Chipotle from the very beginning. If I want a burrito, I'll go to a burrito place or whatever. Now, I do go in sometimes for their bowls because of this, the diet I'm on, and I want to get like just chicken and the fajita vegetables and then some salsa and stuff. They never have the fajita vegetables. Never. No. I see the chafing dish and I see like 3 2-day-old peppers steamed to the side of this thing. And I'm like, do you have any more vegetables? No. Okay. And I'm not going in like at 5 minutes to closing time.
Hey,
I'm going in at all different times.
As with all restaurants, Brian, especially chains, not all are created equal. You got to find a good one.
Correct. Give me my meats. All right. That's it. We're done. I'm out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for all your input today. Thanks for listening. As always, don't forget to check out all the social media pages and Spotify and the Civic Media app. Have a great day. This is the Civic Media Network.